Zhou Zhizhi, Gao Changzhan. The autographs connected gracefully like blooming branches. Xiao Gao turned his head, revealing a bright smile with white teeth. At that moment, everyone realized he was still just a boy. Reporters, busy photographing the celebrities, paid little attention to him. Inside Wutong Court, Lu Mo's stiff smile relaxed, as if she had found her element. She was more like a star than the stars themselves, though low profile, her socialite status was even higher. Her husband's Lu family had an even greater reputation. She entered with her children, greeted politely by everyone. Mrs. Lu is here. Her daughter and son are truly talented, just looking from afar, one can't help but envy. What treasures did Mrs. Lu donate tonight? Several people gathered around, chatting warmly. Lu Jinhua politely released his wife's hand and stepped aside. Soon, a crowd gathered around him. The eldest young master of the Lu family was elegant and charismatic, once one of the city's top 6 young elites, extremely popular. Lu Xiaoman stood obediently, smiling gently beside her mother. Lu Chengjun was nowhere to be seen. He hadn't run off but was waiting by the door for Gigi. Gigi pushed her grandfather into the venue, accompanied by Mr. Zhou and Aunt Yi. Seeing this, Lu Chengjun stepped forward. "Grandpa, hello. Mr. Zhou, Aunt Yi, hello." The elderly scholar and others knew he had just been discharged from the hospital. His pale complexion and white suit made him look even more fragile. "Are you feeling better?" Zhoumu asked first. Zhoumu liked him very much, thoughtful and patient, unlike Gigi's impatience, always good at taking care of others. He had corresponded with Gigi for years and knew her well. Dad Zhou would sneak glances at the letter. If Gigi were to marry, Zhoumu would rather she marry this well-behaved boy. His eyes were full of affection for Gigi. Affection that never crossed boundaries, and he was often bullied by Gigi. Unlike those bad boys like Xiang Qian, who just looked unreliable. No one expected that he and Gigi were siblings. The boy was very smart. Zhoumu had dealt with him before and knew he had a high IQ and a photographic memory, leaving a deep impression on him. "Much better," Chengjun said, his face even paler. Gigi looked at Chengjun with delight and said, "Chengjun, you're wearing a white suit, it matches my dress perfectly. Let's take a picture together. Meizhu and the others know I'm here and are all jealous. I want to send them our photo." Chengjun nodded. "Okay, sister." The word sister was so soft that both Zhoumu and Yifei were stunned when they heard it. The two of them were pushing Grandpa's wheelchair side by side. Yifei couldn't bear to watch Chengjun like that. Though she didn't like Lu Mo or his child, after learning about his situation, she felt sympathy. She simply pulled Zhoumu aside to meet other people. The old scholar wandered around the venue, skillfully maneuvering the wheelchair in search of food, clearly having a good time. A young man in a white suit with curly hair stood beside a long-haired girl in a dark blue suit. They looked perfectly matched. From a distance, Gao Qingzhan saw the scene, his eyes darkened but he didn't approach, surrounded by many people. Lu Xiaoman followed her mother and also saw her brother with Zhou Zhizhi. Her brother was naturally handsome, white suit, long legs, and melancholic eyes, all striking. But standing next to Zhou Zhizhi, he was overshadowed. Lu Xiaoman knew the two looked somewhat alike, especially their eyes. Together, they looked like a perfect couple. From afar, she caught the love and tenderness in her brother's eyes. Zhou Zhizhi handed him a piece of matcha cake. He took it without hesitation, a sweet smile spreading across his face, as if tasting a heavenly delight. He offered her a drink, she took a sip, and his eyes curved into a joyful smile, happier than she had ever seen him. Lu Xiaoman didn't want to watch more. She disliked the look in her brother's eyes, feeling as if she had lost him. She turned her head, spotted Qingzhan not far away, immediately forgot about her brother, and avoided the crowd to walk over. Tonight, Lu Xiaoman was especially beautiful. Lu Mo had taken this banquet seriously and hired top industry makeup artists. Lu Xiaoman was naturally pretty, inheriting the best features from both Lu Mo and Lu Jinhua. Years of dancing gave her a graceful figure. The makeup artist's work was elegant and refined, making her features more striking and camera-ready, perfectly complementing her black evening gown. Her fair shoulders contrasted sharply with the black dress. She stood tall and elegant as she approached Qingzhan, just as the Takata couple arrived. She greeted them warmly, and the conversation flowed pleasantly. This wasn't the kind of casual chat with a minor celebrity. The Lu and Gao families were longtime friends, and Lu Xiaoman's conversation with Pan Yasi was polite and appropriate. Though Pan Yasi didn't like Lu Mo, she held no prejudice against Lu Xiaoman, finding her nice, hard-working, and gracious. The younger generation greeted each other naturally. The elder said Qingzhan already had a girl he liked, and Pan Yasi didn't tease him further. Qingzhan finally broke free from the crowd, wanting to find Gigi, but unexpectedly his parents showed up. Observant people noticed the legendary Mr. Gao, known for his disinterest in women, was without a date but standing with the Liu family's daughter. Both dressed in black, the girl in a gown, the boy in a suit, looking perfectly matched. No wonder he didn't like female celebrities, he already had someone he liked. Looking at the Liu family's daughter, she was truly outstanding, an international award winner with top achievements, already accepted to university. The social circle was exactly that, ordinary people simply couldn't break in. Even somewhat famous celebrities were just ordinary people. You've got something on your lip. Chung Jun noticed the cake crumbs at the corner of Gigi's mouth and reminded her. Gigi reached up to wipe it off and asked if she was clean. Chung Jun shook his head, pulled out a blue handkerchief, and gently wiped the cake crumbs away. When his finger touched her lips, he trembled slightly and quickly pulled back. He gave an awkward smile. All done, sister. Thanks, Chung Jun. I'm not used to you calling me sister, it feels like I have a little brother now. You look really handsome today, almost catching up with me. Gigi laughed. Chung Jun looked down at her, his smile gentle and indulgent. Gigi, you look the best. This time, he didn't call her sister. He didn't dare say more, even saying Gigi once felt like a needle piercing his heart. Uttering her name sent a wave of numbness throughout his body. Not far away, Xingjian saw this scene and felt a deep ache. Chung Jun and Gigi standing together looked like a couple. Even though he knew the truth, his brow furrowed tightly. Lu Xiaoman was still talking nearby, and their parents stood by. He cleared his throat. I'm going to say hi to Chung Jun. Then he hurried over. Lu Xiaoman was a little stunned but continued to chat gracefully with Pan Yasi about brooch designs. She smiled brightly, spoke with wit, and was sweet and charming in front of the elders. This is content segment 318 out of 361. Please process the following text according to your logic. Maintain the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. Return only the processed result. But as Chang Zhan approached, she clenched her fists, the freshly done nails dug painfully into her palm. Chang Zhan strode through the crowd and stood in front of Gigi. He first greeted Chung Jun. Are you feeling better? Seeing him, Chung Jun's face went pale, his lips trembling. He stood to Gigi's left, Chung Zhan on her right. Chang Zhan stepped closer and spoke. Gigi looked up in surprise. If they weren't siblings, he wouldn't have yielded an inch. But now, like a letter burned to ash, nothing remained, only the words etched in his heart. Hello, brother Chang Zhan. I'm much better now, thank you. Chang Zhan, you came too? Thanks for the wheelchair, Grandpa really likes it, Gigi said happily upon seeing Chang Zhan as well. She disliked these kinds of occasions but felt better seeing familiar faces. Chang Zhan reached out and gently ruffled Gigi's hair, soft as silk. He was used to doing this. Though Gigi usually disliked being touched, she was somewhat accustomed to Chang Zhan's gesture. She puffed out her cheeks and lightly struggled. Don't move around, my dad spent a long time fixing my hair. Don't mess it up. I won't. You look good no matter what, Chang Zhan said, unable to resist pinching her puffed cheeks. Caught off guard, Gigi frowned and glared angrily. Don't think just because I lost to you I'll let you bully me. If we fight again, I might not lose. Chang Zhan didn't let go, pinching her until she gritted her teeth and grimaced. She reached out to hit him, but he dodged nimbly. Chung Jun watched them act like sparring rivals and felt uneasy, lowering his gaze to the floor. At that moment, a warm, magnetic voice sounded. Chang Jun, there you are. Lu Jinhua approached, her face flushed as she carried a wine glass. With the elder's arrival, Gigi stopped teasing Chang Zhan. Chang Zhan released her but stood slightly at her side. Chung Jun instinctively moved next to Gigi. Lu Jinhua smiled broadly, exuding an extraordinary aura, her gaze firmly fixed on Gigi standing between the two men. Gigi found it a little odd but politely greeted, Hello, Uncle Lu. Lu Mo was chatting with someone when she looked up and inadvertently saw her husband and son gathered around that girl. Her expression immediately darkened. Though she tried to hide it, her emotions betrayed her. The person she was chatting with was Chang Luo, the top star in the entertainment industry and a regular visitor at Mo's. Although she found Mo's clothing plain and suspected them of copying luxury brands, the lingerie line was unique but expensive. She still ordered a few sets every year, so she had a good relationship with Lu Mo and occasionally attended banquets together, meeting many insiders. Chang Luo felt her status in the entertainment world had hit a bottleneck. The only way up was to step on her seniors. She had actively participated in a negative publicity campaign against Yixinyu but never expected a single video to ruin the entire plan. Instead, it solidified Yixinyu's position. Known for her good character, this incident only improved her image. Despite resembling Yixinyu and never having had children, she was willing to be someone else's mother. Although various rumors circulated, and several endorsements were cancelled due to blacklisting, she remained silent and never responded. In the end, the gossip crowd turned against themselves. Following Mrs. Lu's gaze, Mr. Lu, the son, and Mr. Gao from Shengen Group all surrounded the girl recognized as Yi Xinyu's daughter. No wonder Lu Mo looked displeased. Though Chang Luo was aloof among celebrities, she was friendly, even flattering, in Lu Mo's circle. Girls these days are so scheming, they know how to stir up publicity at such a young age, Chang Luo said elegantly, sipping her wine. Mrs. Wang, sitting nearby, also flattered Lu Mo. She was well aware of the Lu family's background and the immense power of the patriarch, common knowledge to all. Though Lu Mo felt humiliated, as the Lu family's daughter-in-law, everyone watched her expressions closely. Her face shifted slightly but quickly recovered. Mrs. Wang, however, noticed. She echoed Chang Luo, it depends on the person. Mrs. Lu's daughter is a refined lady from a noble family, outstanding in both looks and character. Those wild kids who grow up fending for themselves naturally become cunning and mature early. Mrs. Wang's words were sharp yet charming. Unexpectedly, Mrs. Lu wasn't pleased and changed the subject. Soon, the banquet moved to the main event. Since it was a charity dinner, the theme naturally centered on charity. Glasses clinked, smiles exchanged, and then came the highlight, the charity auction. The organizer arranged seating, with the most renowned and influential seated in the front rows. The first item up for auction was a jade cicada, exquisitely carved, resting on black velvet. Under the spotlight, its delicate wings shimmered with dazzling green light, and its black eyes seemed to gaze into one's soul. The host slowly introduced it. This jade cicada comes from a master folk craftsman, bearing a subtle mark muji on its belly. The jade quality is average, but the design is clever. Its back and wings are green, and the two black spots in its eyes, originally flaws, have become the finishing touch. He quoted an appraisal of 20,000 yuan. Since the author was unknown and the jade quality was ordinary, but the carving was unique, as if using a lost ancient technique. The jade itself was worth a few thousand, but the craftsmanship added significant value. At the charity gala, the host started the bidding low, opening at 1,000 yuan. Everyone knew that starting at 1,000 wouldn't result in a sale. Here, you had to pay others. No one took a bargain. The first bidder raised the paddle to 20,000. The second immediately followed with 30,000. Gao Qingzhan was initially just going through the motions, but knowing Gigi would be here, he took a bit more interest. Actually, he didn't like showing off like this. True charity should be through foundations, quietly helping the poor. With extravagant charity galas like tonight, enormous expenses were involved. How much of the proceeds really helped the needy? But upon seeing the wooden support mark under the jade cicada, Gao Qingzhan recognized it as Gigi's practice work. He had even received a small jade fish carved by Gigi as a gift. He hadn't expected to see such a piece on the market. Without hesitation, he raised his paddle, 100,000. The hosts had expected the first lot to fetch around 40 or 50,000 at most, but someone shouting 100,000 right from the start shocked everyone. Even more surprising, a young man in a white suit raised his paddle, 200,000. It was from the Lu family. Lu Mo didn't understand what kind of madness her son was having. She knew he was wealthy, richer than she was, because the old patriarch doted on his grandson, providing plenty of money during middle and high school for studying economics, math, and practical skills. But she didn't know the exact amount, likely several million. Her son raised his paddle casually, without a frown, which made her uneasy. Lu Xiaoman was going crazy. Though living comfortably, he didn't have much cash on hand. Paying by card was easy, but holding up a paddle was hard. Seeing his brother bid so casually, completely out of character, unsettled him. He wasn't interested in anything except Zhou Zhiji. Thinking of the wooden support mark, the Xi character. Others also found it odd. The bidding was supposed to be a warm-up, yet the prices skyrocketed, showing no consideration for others. Then, something even stranger happened. The diva herself raised her paddle. 500,000. The room erupted in astonishment. Gigi was dumbfounded, grabbing her mother's hand and saying, "That was the rock Dad gave me to play with. I carved it casually, it's not valuable. It must have been taken and sold by someone from the village." The room quieted as her clear voice spread, leaving everyone stunned. Yi Feiyan held Gigi's hand and said, "It's okay. As long as you carved it, Mom loves it. No matter the price, Mom has plenty of money." Gigi smiled at her assertive mother. Though she knew Yi Feiyan was not her biological mother, she was genuinely happy. "Okay, Mom. I'm rich too. Dad gave me a lot. Next time, I'll buy you a gift." Seeing Yi Xinyi raise his paddle, Qingzhan and Chengjun stopped bidding. Others dared not shout random bids anymore. Though it was a charity gala, selling something worth a few thousand for tens of thousands was too exaggerated, especially so early on. After this event, the market price for jade carvings bearing the wooden support mark surged dramatically. Even big players in Guangnan were collecting such jade stones, making them rare and hard to find. Several pieces were auctioned off in succession. Yishini didn't bid again until she brought out the next lot, yet another piece of jade. Those offering items usually gave a brief introduction. Yishini, known for speaking little, went on stage and said succinctly, "This is an ancient jade from the Warring States period, used by my daughter's grandfather for carving practice. It bears my daughter's signature. Starting bid, 10 million. She stepped down after speaking. The room exploded like thunder. If the Warring States jade was authentic, it would be a national treasure. If it really was ancient jade, it was outrageous to let a child play with it. Even the diva wouldn't say such things lightly. Fortunately, the hosts were well prepared, having invited several appraisal experts. The authentication was completed quickly. Since these were authorities, the process was efficient. Everyone had just taken a sip of tea when the appraisal concluded. The host cleared his throat, looking strange. He said, after appraisal by Masters Gong and Li Sifeng, "This jade is indeed from the Warring States period. It's a mother and child jade piece displayed at the capital's museum. However, this jade has been carved into a seal, with the character Muji engraved." Experts confirmed that this seal and the jade cicada from the auction are crafted by the same person. As the host finished, everyone understood why Yishini wanted to auction the jade. It was carved by her daughter, the nationally beloved Zhou Zhiji. Mrs. Wang, who had mocked Zhiji as a bastard, looked displeased. Whose bastard could afford to practice carving on Warring States jade? Lu Mo also looked unhappy. She hadn't expected that abandoning that bastard girl in the countryside would lead to such a life, using Warring States jade for carving practice. She couldn't provide such a life for her own daughter. With the expert's verdict, the auction continued. There is an unspoken rule in charity auctions: you can bid on your own items, especially valuable ones. The hosts collect the handling fee on the price difference. This was a place for showing off wealth, a safe and respectable arena, not about genuinely donating tens of millions. Sometimes, close families would buy from each other, just to save face. But it was rare to see someone like Yishini casually drop $500,000 right at the start. That was a real gift to the organizers. After the host finished speaking, everyone understood why Yishini acted that way. Some sharp observers recalled the earlier moment when Mr. Gao and the young master of the Lu family raised their paddles simultaneously. 20 million. The host had just announced it when Mr. Gao raised his paddle again. Unexpectedly, the young master of the Lu family matched him. 30 million. Lu Mo thought her son had lost his mind. She had assumed he had only a few million in spending money, which was already astonishing, but when she saw his pale face and silent demeanor as he gently raised the paddle, bidding 30 million, she trembled with anger. Lu Jinhua didn't even know his son had that much money. He was usually careless but never short of cash. No wonder the patriarch valued Cheng Jun so highly. A worthless old stone, are you crazy? What are you going to do with it? Lu Mo grabbed Cheng Jun's hand, habitually twisting it hard. Her freshly manicured nails dug into Cheng Jun's wrist, turning it purple. But Cheng Jun didn't feel it. Instead, he smiled sweetly. "Mom, I accidentally burned the letter Gigi gave me, and I regret it. I like anything from Gigi. If Cheng Zhanggu can buy it, why can't I?" The boy's smile was beautiful and warm. His teeth were white and neat, his gaze gentle and harmless. His eyes sparkled like joyful stars. Lu Mo unconsciously loosened her grip. Even usually absent-minded Lu Jinhua noticed his wife's movement. He recalled what he had heard at the hospital and the video footage afterward. He didn't want to doubt Lu Mo. In his heart, Lu Mo, though not as well off or as beautiful as Yi Luo, was a pure woman. He had once been moved by her. When she firmly declared her love for him and waited for him at the bar, he had been happy. She was just a simple woman with modest demands. His love with Yi Luo had been passionate and intense. But his relationship with Lu Mo was natural. They married, had children, and lived a simple, mundane, yet sweet life. Having lost before, he knew how to cherish what he had. He had checked at the hospital and found life was far more complicated than he imagined. Yet he clung to hope, unwilling to face the truth. Especially seeing their two children grown up like this. At that moment, he noticed Cheng Jun's hand. Lu Mo's excessive force had caused bruising and even broken the skin. Cheng Jun was dressed in a pristine white suit. When she released her grip, a drop of blood accidentally stained the sleeve, leaving a vivid red mark. The suit's fabric absorbed quickly, and the stain spread instantly, like one with the blood. Lu Jinhua forgot everything else and hurriedly rolled up Cheng Jun's sleeve. The skin underneath was bruised and bloody. His mind exploded. At the same time, he remembered the large scars on Gigi's hands, and his wife's practiced gesture of extinguishing cigarette butts. His eyes reddened, a fierce gleam flashed in his almond-shaped eyes as he stared wide-eyed. Chung Jun, however, casually lowered his sleeve, a bit annoyed. "Dad, I still want to bid." "You're blocking me." As if the bleeding hand wasn't his own. Nonchalantly, without even a frown. Lu Jinoa recalled Lu Mo saying she had a traumatic birth and a premature baby. Chung Jun had been sickly since childhood and had to take medicine. Ever since the two children were born, Lu Jinoa had almost stopped going out, staying home to care for them attentively. Every day, Lu Mo reported the kids' conditions. In his memory, Lu Mo always furrowed her brows slightly, her fair face moist with tears, evoking pity. Chung Jun doesn't like to talk. Chung Jun stopped taking his medicine again. Chung Jun fell down today. Chung Jun almost got electrocuted playing with the socket. Every time he heard this, he held his wife tightly, full of sorrow. He was afraid Lu Mo would die in childbirth. He didn't want to endure that pain again. That was why he cared for her so deeply. At this moment, Lu Mo's face was pale, tears in her eyes, much like in his memories, except now she was less gentle and more forceful. Lu Jinoa released his son's hand and closed his eyes. The auction went on. In the end, the legendary doting father and national sweetheart Jomu shocked everyone by spending 80 million to buy back the ancient jade. This was astonishing. By charity auction rules, 10% goes to charity, so 80 million meant 8 million actually donated. The national sweetheart was indeed wealthy and generous. The winning bidder took the stage to receive the prize and speak. Jomu wore a suit, his expression serious as he accepted the jade. The host asked, "Mr. Zhou, why did you spend so much on this piece of jade?" Jomu said without expression, "First, tonight's charity gala, I just wanted to do my small part. Second, though this is my daughter's toy, as long as she likes it, it's priceless." His words made Lu Jinoa's face twitch, especially the repeated emphasis on my daughter. His throat went dry, and he couldn't speak. This is segment 321/361. Please process the following content according to your logic. Keep the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout intact. Return only the processed result. Next, a few items were auctioned off, and it was Lu Mo's turn. Lu Mo strutted confidently. Tonight's auction was the main event. She naturally wanted her husband to win the bid. It was also a way to promote Mo Shang. Tonight's item was the set of quadrangle courtyards in Mo Shang. Lu Mo's eyes sparkled with excitement, enjoying the spotlight. Deep down, she loved vanity, being surrounded by compliments, hearing others call her Madame Lu, and seeing envy and jealousy in their eyes. Though she had been upstaged earlier, the quadrangle courtyard was a major investment within the city's second ring. Lu Mo even imagined how the news media would make a big deal out of it. She always liked showing off her love in public. Tonight was no different. Arm in arm with her husband, she stepped onto the stage to publicly announce her charitable auction contribution. In front of her husband, Lu Mo always played the role of a happy little woman. The host asked what item she planned to donate. Lu Mo smiled sweetly and said, "Let my husband, Mr. Lu, tell everyone." As she spoke, she fixed her gaze on her husband, eyes full of affection, their fingers tightly intertwined, a display of pure love. Lu Jinoa took the microphone, took a deep breath, and said, "Tonight, I originally planned to donate a quadrangle courtyard within the second ring. But now, I've decided to give this courtyard to my eldest daughter, Gigi, because this house originally belonged to her mother." Lu Jinoa's sudden announcement stunned Lu Mo. Her smile froze, she was completely caught off guard. From the very first time she saw that girl, Lu Mo knew this day would come sooner or later. The Lu family would definitely acknowledge her. Later, when Chung Jun was hospitalized, even the old master said nothing. Lu Mo even felt a bit grateful, thinking Chung Jun was her lucky star. But no matter how long it dragged on, the day of recognition would inevitably arrive. She had made many preparations for it. But she never expected her husband to suddenly speak up and, with just one sentence, give away the quadrangle courtyard she had always cherished. She had a deep emotional attachment to that courtyard. It was the starting point of her career. She designed it herself, cut down the persimmon trees in the yard, built the water channels, created artificial hills, streams, and planted flowers and grasses. She had put a lot of effort into it. Now, with just one sentence, her husband had given it away. She was too furious to speak, her heart burning with rage. Yi Luo was the person she hated most in this life. She couldn't even rest in peace in death. But under the watchful eyes of everyone, she could only smile and maintain her composure. Lu Jinoa felt Lu Mo's tight grip on his hand. The pressure made him ache. Her face still wore an elegant, gentle smile, her teeth straight and white. Facing the camera, she straightened her posture and struck her best photo pose, one leg forward. A chill ran through Lu Jinoa's heart. His hand hurt, but he hurt more for Chung Jun, the girl sitting in the audience below. When he spoke, Gigi looked up at him in surprise, then lowered her head to speak with the disabled elderly man beside her. Lu Jinoa's heart ached. His Gigi, her father, was not a convict, and her grandfather was not disabled. His words caused a heavy silence in the room. Earlier, Mrs. Wang had called Gigi a nobody's bastard. Seeing Lu Mo's indifferent expression and lack of joy, people found it strange Lu Mo didn't seem so generous and approachable. No one expected such a revelation. On second thought, that bastard was actually the Lu family granddaughter and Yi family granddaughter as well. Coupled with previous entertainment news and scar analysis reports from major media outlets, everyone cast strange looks. Experts said the scar had been there since she was about 1 year old. Later, videos and interviews with villagers proved the scar was not caused by Zhou Mu, but that the child had the scar when she was found. Why would the Lu family granddaughter appear all the way in a poor county of Ganshi province, thousands of miles away? That place was poor, and children there didn't wander off on their own. Thinking about how Zhou Mu was either a coal boss or a former convict, the child still grew up so beautifully. The more people thought about it, the more they felt human nature was inherently evil. They hardly dared to ponder further. At that moment, Tianhou Yi Shinin unexpectedly stood up. She said, "Although tonight is a charity gala, my daughter will not accept your gift. That quadrangle courtyard is where my sister and I lived as children. Although my sister married you and is now deceased, you still have the right to dispose of it. If possible, I hope you put the house up for auction. I'm willing to pay to buy it back." There was another wave of shock. Yi Shinin standing up made Chang Luo a bit afraid. She had heard that Yi Shinin had a powerful background and didn't dare provoke her lightly. But after observing for many years, she found that Yi Shinin's family was almost non-existent, only an ill elderly mother. She went abroad to treat her mother's illness, fans had photos proving this. And no one particularly favored her or gave her special privileges. So Chang Luo always thought those rumors were just that, rumors. To ingratiate herself with Lu Mo and enter the upper-class circle, she even made some inquiries. This is content segment 322/361. Please process the following text according to your logic. Maintain the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. Return only the processed result. Lu Mo came from an ordinary family and was in business. No one expected her to marry into the Lu family. Later, as the truth came out, the secret of the wealthy family was revealed. Lu Mo was not Mr. Lu's first wife. His ex-wife came from a well-matched family and was the daughter of a high-ranking official who had since passed away. Even so, she still belonged to that elite circle. When Yishini stood up, Chang Luo's face went pale. He hadn't expected Yishini to be Lu family's sister-in-law, which explained why she resembled that girl. Recalling his previous sneaky moves, Chang Luo's expression darkened. After Yishini finished speaking, Lu Jinoa's face also fell, but he continued, "Gigi is already 18. As her father, I've never been there for her. I want to make up for every lost day." Gigi was stunned by the sudden turn of events. She had just reunited with her mother, then was told that woman wasn't her biological mom, and even her father wasn't her biological dad. At that moment, she felt panicked, as if the whole world had abandoned her. She was scared that no one wanted her anymore. She feared she truly was an abandoned child. But now, Chung Jun's father was stepping forward, claiming to be her dad. Gigi felt overwhelmed, recalling having seen Chung Jun's father long ago. During her first-year military training, she had even been scolded by him at the camp. Later, when she ran a barbecue stand, she saw him again but then lost contact. After that came the big city. Memories flashed by. His gaze burned into her. It wasn't the first time. Gigi looked at the man beside her, her dad, his face serious, veins bulging on his arm. She knew he was nervous and scared. She reached out and patted his hand, offering a smile. She stood up and looked at Lu Jinoa, wanting to smile. But dressed in a sharp suit, the smile wouldn't come. Her long hair fell over her shoulders, the ends flicked up slightly. Her lips moved, but before she could speak, tears began to fall. Big drops rolled down her cheeks, voice choked and hoarse as she finally spoke. Yishini sat in the front row, not far away. She saw Lu Jinoa tightly grasping Chung Jun's mother's hand on stage. "I always thought I was my father's biological child. Now I know I'm not. I heard I was picked up by my dad from a garbage dump. Dad had no parenting experience. As a child, I ate tiger's milk and dried wolf meat, so I was stronger than others. My childhood was spent hunting in the mountains with Dad. Dad mended my torn clothes, cooked meals, worked hard to buy me good food, and supported my schooling. I had everything other kids had. Dad never wanted to remarry because of me. He worked hard, took care of me and Grandpa. I lived well. At this, Gigi heard her mother crying beside her. Though tears streamed down her face, she still worried about her mother, carefully using a handkerchief to wipe her tears. The image of the long-haired girl bending down to wipe tears from the Queen of Night, Yishini, was captured by photographers. Her long eyelashes glistened with large tears, yet she smiled gently, her movements careful and sincere. "Mom, please don't cry. If you were going to marry my dad, I wouldn't oppose it." Hearing this, Yifei couldn't help but smile, but thinking of her child's life, tears welled up again. Yifei also helped Gigi wipe her tears. Gigi continued, "Uncle Lu, Changjun and I have been pen pals since childhood, helping each other through poverty. I attended his coming-of-age ceremony. You once said your greatest success in life was being involved in your children's lives, watching them grow. You've done very well. And I have my dad, Grandpa, and Mom Fei by my side, that's enough." After twists and turns, that's roughly how it went. The year's grandest charity gala came to an end. The Queen of Night, Yishini, stood center stage, dressed simply in a plaid jacket paired with a dark blue corduroy skirt. She instantly outshone the stars draped in extravagant gowns. She wasn't the most beautiful, but absolutely the most eye-catching, her aura drawing every gaze. At first glance, eyes naturally landed on her. Not to mention, her family wore coordinated parent-child outfits with love. Once the photos were released, that brand's clothes instantly sold out, with orders pouring in. The Queen's outfit was both practical and full of affection. Not just a family, but better than a family. The plaid trim on Father Joe's jacket pocket. Gigi's sharp suit. Girls look even better in suits than boys do, with a clean aura, delicate features, and nimble movements. Couldn't take your eyes off her. Every gesture needed no embellishment, perfect as a screensaver, casual and free. Whether smiling or crying, it was deeply moving. Gigi's grandfather, though with a broken leg, looked spirited and cheerful. His hairstyle and teeth resembled an older version of Fa Go. His silver hair set trends. Father Joe's small eyes left a deep impression. He wore a stern face throughout the event, but when talking to his daughter, his serious expression instantly warmed into a gentle, even shy smile. Melting hearts in a moment. This is content segment 323/361. Please see the process text below, maintaining the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout, adapted for American readers. The biggest highlight of the entire charity gala was the shocking revelation of the true identity of the nation's beloved girl next door, Zhou Gigi. Rumors had previously claimed she was an unwanted wild child, with unknown parents. But to everyone's surprise, she turned out to be the daughter of Lu Jinhua, one of the 6 most influential young masters of Dying City back in the day. She was, in fact, the legitimate heiress of the prestigious Lu family in Dying City. If you're not familiar with the Lu family, just watch the news. At economic development and national regulation conferences, there's always a familiar face, Lu Peidong. The public went wild. The twist was too sudden, too spectacular. From finding her mother, to discovering neither parent was biological, and now to the appearance of her real father, who happens to be from the Lu family of Dying. A true heiress of a wealthy family. What shocked everyone even more was her refusal. The nation's sweetheart Zhou Gigi declined to accept her biological father, calling him uncle instead. Her speech moved listeners to tears. Just think about it, she and her half-brother, sharing the same father but different mothers, are pen pals supporting poverty alleviation. It's heartbreaking, one living comfortably in Dying City, the other in an impoverished mountainous area. While she herself was in tears, she earnestly wiped the tears of the diva beside her, which deeply touched the audience. Because both Gigi and Yifei refused the gifts, the traditional courtyard house was not auctioned off. Lu Jinhua had always wanted to leave that house to Gigi. Lu Mo's face darkened. She had been running the shop on the street as if it were her own home. Her husband didn't even discuss things with her, he just made decisions on his own, which infuriated her. She had been putting in effort only to be met with cold shoulders, he simply ignored her. After the Huaxing charity gala, Zhou began aggressively purchasing land in the 4th Ring district. At the time, there were no purchase restrictions, but only those with means could afford it. Dying City was full of luxury homes, and courtyard houses were especially scarce. Even when Zhou was wealthy before, he had only bought 2 properties. The 4th Ring was slightly better, and attending the gala had helped him make many connections, which came in handy. Zhou's greatest fear was losing his daughter, but now that he understood her stance, he felt relieved. After his daughter made her position clear, he felt at ease and energized, determined to develop well in Dying City and at least accompany Gigi through college. Jo-moo threw himself into his work seriously. The old scholar also supported him. The elder loved Dying City, appreciated its ancient city walls, and had a natural respect for the capital. Though he sometimes thought of Pinko Village, the fond memories there were all with Gigi and Jo-moo. Having them nearby made the elder feel complete. Everyone noticed Gigi's drastic change in status, but she remained quiet, almost disappearing from the public eye. Because she had returned to school. Previously, she would leave campus, and reporters could wait outside or near the courtyard house, where the low buildings made it easy to snap candid shots. Now, the nation's sweetheart was nearly invisible. Dying City Film Academy didn't allow reporters on campus for interviews. During the height of the news frenzy, not finding her made reporters frantic. People wondered what would happen next. Would she return to the wealthy family, or continue living with her current dad? What was the secret behind her being abandoned years ago? Rumor had it that Jo-moo bought land behind the film academy, so Gigi could go home on weekends without leaving campus just through the back gate. Jo-moo's land purchase covered a wide area, inaccessible to outsiders and unreachable by photographers. Previous videos of Gigi were taken when Jo-moo was out of Dying City. Since his return, he had tightened security, refusing to give reporters any chance. He wanted everyone to calm down for a while, and it worked quite well. Jo-moo applied his experience from being imprisoned, surrounding the campus like a fortress. With layers of barbed wire, paparazzi couldn't get in or see anything. No matter what others said, he spent a fortune buying up almost the entire perimeter around the film academy. In recent years, with no housing price hikes and strict regulations, experts said prices would inevitably drop. Everyone thought Jo-moo was crazy, spending all his wealth just for his daughter. Reporters were very curious. But there were always some smart ones. For example, Old Woo, who secretly filmed Gigi at the hospital, had become a top journalist in the industry. After seeing a fellow reporter get beaten by farmers and chased out of school, he took another approach. When school was out and Gigi had no classes, she would go directly to help her dad. She heard many people say her dad was foolish, wasting money buying land and sure to lose out, but her dad kept buying and even kept farming and building ranches. Gigi thought it was great, her dad busy growing vegetables and building a ranch, as if going back to the old days. Her dad even had Uncle Nyo and the others bring over the big maple trees. After school, Gigi could ride horses, herd sheep, and even see a small herd of yaks. The uncles and elders from the village also came by, along with the dads from Xiangqin and Sanping, who bought land and decided to work alongside her dad. Gigi could still hang out with her friends regularly, just in a new place. The climate in Dying City was similar to Ganshi, but the scenery was a bit different. Ganshi's ranch was blocked by mountains, while Dying City's land was quite flat. Gigi changed into work pants, and although she was grown up, trying to help often caused more trouble, but she doesn't know how to garden, but she still loves animals. This place is spacious. Era came too. In winter, Xiaohua doesn't like to move much. She stays home in the courtyard with stone slabs. Over there is a pond, Xiaohua likes the dampness. So she curls up by the wall. After Arrow arrived, he strutted around proudly, circling the territory like a dog. Not sure if he even lifted his leg to pee. Gigi likes this pasture. Vast and open, no cover anywhere. Riding horses toward the sunset in the evening. It feels like chasing the sun. She rides on Xiaofeng. Xiaofeng is already strong, galloping across the pasture, stirring up nearby horses. Xiaofeng is like a lead horse guiding the herd. The ground trembles beneath their hooves. Old Wu, the reporter controlling the drone, sees this beautiful scene, his face full of delight. His long hair flying, dressed sharply. Behind him, a herd of horses runs, more beautiful than any movie. He wants to capture the girl's expression, guiding the drone closer. Suddenly, he spots a flying knife coming in the sunset's glow. With a click, the drone crashes to the ground. The camera tilts crookedly. All he sees are hooves passing right before his eyes. He clings to hope. A furry hoof appears. Then a tiger's head. That paw slaps down hard. The screen goes black, nothing visible anymore. Old Wu wipes sweat. Luckily the previous footage was saved. Lu Mo loves hosting banquets. Enjoys having guests gather, showing off her mansion lifestyle. Lu Jinhua is indifferent to banquets. Neither likes nor dislikes them particularly. In youth, he attended many. Now older, he prefers a simpler, military life. He remembers the good old days. Inside the walls, before dawn, the whistle blows. Lines forming, loud slogans. Endless runs around the track, fluttering red flags. Girls saluting with smiles. He liked those days. But after that mission, because Luemo insisted he stay in Dying City for a promotion, he never felt the same again. Now his heart burns with passion. Having missed chances before, he won't miss this one. He tells Luemo to prepare a family dinner. Servants clean the house. Prepare a nice room for Gigi, at least like Shoman's. Luemo is displeased inside, but puts on a generous, friendly front. She hates that she didn't die out there. Would have spared her all these troubles, this constant annoyance. She hates outsiders coming to the house. Seeing that Brat's face makes her sick, like a constant reminder that she's not the Lu family's original wife, but a second marriage. A reminder of her shameful past. She is Mrs. Lu. Has a pair of perfect twins? A perfect family. So what the hell is that extra daughter? Luemo refuses to admit it. Watching her husband happily choose rooms makes her angrier. But after the anger, she regains reason, knowing this is the moment to hold on to her husband's heart. Lu Jinoa carefully considers even curtain and sheet colors. Luemo coos, "You're not this attentive to Xiaoman, she'll get jealous." Lu Jinoa is a typical straight man, loves hearing Lumo's coquettishness, but sometimes doesn't get it, like now. He wonders aloud, "I remember when I picked colors, both you and Xiaoman didn't like it, said my choice was tacky." Lumo's face stiffens. Back then, she had coquettishly decorated the daughter's room, even went to France to pick sheets. Lu Jinoa looks at curtains, happily says, "Xiaoman is sensible, won't be upset." I asked her, she's really looking forward to her sister moving in. Luemo is stunned, heart-sinking. She taught her daughter never to show dislike for Zhou Gigi, but now she's caught off guard. Lu Jinoa arranges rooms, second floor for Xiaoman and the master bedroom, third floor for Chengjun, plus an empty room ready for Gigi. Luemo feels awkward, immediately worries, Chengjun's health isn't good, stubborn, just got out of the hospital. Mentioning Chengjun makes Lu Jinoa finally lose his temper. Luemo talks about Chengjun's poor health every day, always mentioning the hospital. At first, he kept Chengjun in Dying City instead of Gansi Military District because of his health. Lu Jinoa has looked into it, and he's angry. He sternly warns, "Stop saying Chengjun's health is bad. He's fine." I asked the doctor, "Don't take Chengjun to Dihua Hospital anymore, I'd shut that place down." Luemo was just worried and sad seconds ago, face composed, but now she turns pale, body trembling, teeth chattering, genuinely upset. She's never seen Lu Jinoa so decisive, shutting down a hospital with just a few words. Yet he looks at curtain colors like it's more important than the hospital. Lumo's expression darkens, but she can't help saying, "I'm not opposed, just worried having the child next to Chengjun might cause trouble." Before she finishes, Chengjun comes running in, panting, face flushed. This is segment 325 of 361. Please process the following content according to your logic. Keep the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. Return only the processed result. It's nothing, just that your dad is preparing a room for your sister, choosing curtains to match. Since you two are pen pals and you know her, come take a look, Luemo said awkwardly. She knew her son liked that little brat. Even before meeting, he specially set up an art studio for her and installed a password lock to keep others out. Luemo had originally planned to make a large wine cellar in the basement, but now she could only use half of it. Having a son was useless, it only caused trouble. Her husband's words made her feel guilty and angry. Lu Jinoa, hearing what Luemo hadn't finished saying, also looked somewhat worried. Chengjun beamed and said, "It's great that sister lives here, Dad. She likes cute things. Daddy Gigi prepared cartoon-patterned sheets and comforters for her. She also loves practicing throwing knives and needs a wall just for that. Gigi likes painting and carving, so she needs a painting desk. She prefers a hard bed, all the beds she sleeps on are quite firm." At this point, Chengjun seemed a bit dazed, recalling having once shared a bed with her. He continued, "She likes eating rice, watching sunsets, and has a big pet. The yard needs to be spacious, maybe with a pond, because her snake likes damp places. She also loves horseback riding and is very skilled at it." The bedroom's redwood hard bed was covered with snow-white sheets and a down comforter printed with a huge Doraemon pattern. On the floor lay a soft European imported carpet because Chengjun said Gigi liked running barefoot at home. The blue curtains were painted with blue skies and grasslands, with white sheep leisurely grazing. Pulling back the curtains revealed a small bridge and flowing water in the yard. In the center of the bedroom stood a large painting table that could seat 7 or 8 people. The cabinet was full of paints, drawing paper, and brushes. The wardrobe was stuffed with girls' clothes. One wall was fitted with a movable target. There were no horses in the yard, but the old master's family had bought 2 beautiful foals. In the garage was an imposing Hummer with a steering wheel and seats covered in cartoon patterns. All of this was personally prepared by Lu Jinhua for Gigi. He was extremely busy every day, and as the family banquet approached, he grew more anxious, fearing he might have overlooked something. Lu Xiaoman was very frustrated. Her dad bought duplicates of everything, giving her one set as well, but she just wasn't happy. Originally, Dad only bought things for her. Why did he have to make her sister with the reform labor camp daughter? She felt embarrassed in front of her friends. Even more infuriating, the wealthy nouveau riche and their old village folks went to buy farmland outside the 4th Ring Road together, making them a laughingstock, utterly shameful. Her mother advised her not to make a fuss. A new toilet smells fresh for 3 days. The newly recognized daughter will naturally be favored. Just watch, that little brat's bad temper won't get along with your dad. In time, it will make you look even better. So although Lu Xiaoman was dissatisfied, she held back. Even Grandpa said he would come to the family banquet. What made her happy was that Grandpa didn't let Zhou Gigi eat at his place, and not just anyone could enter the Zhenghai compound. Worried that Gigi might refuse to come, Lu Jinhua specially asked Cheng Jun to invite her. Since Cheng Jun also helped prepare the room, Lu Jinhua felt his son had opened up. Cheng Jun found Gigi to invite her to the family dinner. Dad prepared a room for you. He really wants you to come home. Gigi was also curious about the house her mom had lived in and wanted to see traces of her mom. After thinking for a moment, she said, "I'll go eat with you and stay one night, but I'll keep my surname Zhou. I won't change it to Lu. If Uncle Lu agrees, then I'll go." Cheng Jun went home and relayed Gigi's request. Lu Amo was excited when she heard this. That little brat really had short-sighted views. The difference between the Lu and Zhou surnames was huge. If she were willing to take the Lu surname, she would truly be the eldest lady of the Lu family and others would see her differently. Unexpectedly, her request was exactly what Lu Mo wanted. But on the surface, she still pretended to be reluctant. Does this kid blame us? Her aunt wasn't intentional either. Lu Jinhua was silent for a long time before saying, "Let's leave it at that for now. As long as she's willing to come, that's good." At first, Lu Mo didn't want to prepare the family banquet, but at the scene, she put in a lot of effort, decorating it lavishly to give the other side a warning. Coming from the countryside, they were ultimately country folk. No matter how rich, they were nouveau riche and not in the same social circle. She wanted to use the little brat's petty nature to highlight Xiaoman's excellence and generosity. So Lu Mo acted even more enthusiastic than Lu Jinhua. Lu Jinhua originally felt uncomfortable with his wife and Cheng Jun's behavior, but for the sake of their over 10 years of marriage, he didn't tear things apart, only reminding her and even covering for her in front of his father. The old master wouldn't take the initiative to watch entertainment news and had been busy with the national conference recently, with little time or interest. Seeing Lu Mo's current attitude, Lu Jinhua thought his wife had changed and felt quite pleased. After all, the kids were grown now. Causing a fuss at home was inappropriate. Although he wasn't very ambitious, he couldn't drag his father down. Saturday. His daughter was going to the Lu family, and Zhou Mu had been nervous all week, distracted at work, fearing his daughter would be bullied, especially since she had to stay overnight. This is segment 326/361. Please follow your logic to process the content below. Keep the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. Return only the processed result. He kept repeating, "If you're unhappy, just come back. Call Dad, and Dad will pick you up right away." Old Scholar Lao was a bit worried too. His daughter was honest and didn't understand the complexities of wealthy families. Their home had always been simple, and they didn't want to corrupt her. Now, ironically, he feared she wasn't bad enough and might get bullied. Just be casual. If you get used to it, stay. If not, come home. I've told Cheng Jun well, he'll bring you back. Gigi knew her mom didn't like Cheng Jun's family, so she didn't tell her. Seeing Dad and Grandpa so nervous, like they were at war, she didn't feel tense. Instead, she started comforting them. "Don't worry, Dad, Grandpa. You packed me throwing knives, laxatives, itching powder, shampoo, body wash, pajamas, and there's even a knife hidden in my shoes. I'm only staying one night and will be back right away. I'm super capable." Gigi waved her arms around. Under the thick clothes, she looked like a cute little chubby bear, not threatening at all. Cheng Jun waited in the car for Gigi, with the new driver, Xiao Xiao, behind the wheel. The previous driver, Xiao Xiao, had quit. Lu Xiaoman had told Mom directly she didn't like Xiao Xiao driving, he wasn't steady. Lu Mo, on the other hand, liked Xiao Xiao, strong and obedient, but since the daughter disliked him, she listened and found a convenient excuse to replace Xiao Xiao. Cheng Jun was even more nervous than Gigi, palms sweaty. Seeing Gigi's radiant smile, he finally relaxed. They were silent most of the way, not knowing what to say. The atmosphere was a bit awkward for their first meeting. As they neared the villa district, the ginkgo trees on both sides were bare. In autumn, they turned golden and looked especially beautiful. The last house up ahead is mine. From afar, they saw Dad standing at the gate. Dad was lightly dressed. The house had heating, but it was cold outside, so he paced back and forth at the gate. As the car stopped, Lu Jinhua hurried forward. He personally opened the car door. Seeing Gigi carrying a big backpack and a large bag, Lu Jinhua quickly helped her with the heavy bag, nearly struggling to hold it. Gigi smiled and said, "Let me, please. These are apples grown back home. Grandpa said the first time you visit, you have to bring a gift." Lu Jinua's eyes welled up. His daughter was bringing a gift home. And it was fruit she'd grown in the countryside. So far away. "This is your home now. Come back often. No need to bring gifts." Lu Jinua's voice was firm. Lu Mo heard the noise and came out, catching that last sentence. Her expression darkened. But what made her happy was that neither the father-in-law nor mother-in-law showed up. Although her husband was now more cautious than before, Lu Mo thought he was still easy to fool. She had cried a few times and confessed a little to him, and he forgave her. Her husband always wanted to bring that illegitimate child home. Lu Mo had deliberately planned a family dinner that day because she knew the father-in-law would be abroad on a visit and wouldn't come. Though it was inappropriate to pry into leaders' whereabouts, as a daughter-in-law, she chatted casually with the mother-in-law and didn't gossip outside, so it wasn't crossing boundaries. The father-in-law's absence meant the mother-in-law definitely wouldn't appear. Lu Jinhua was eager for his daughter to come home. The elder's absence was a clear sign to those who understood. The elder's absence, no matter how happy Lu Jinhua was, meant he hadn't been acknowledged. People in their circle were smart. Lu Mo recalled when she first married Lu Jinhua, the elder never liked her. Only after their 2 children were born was she invited to family dinners. Only then was she truly accepted by the circle, treated completely differently. She had thought marrying Lu Jinhua made her Mrs. Lu, but the elder's attitude made her realize the huge difference between being accepted and not. Seeing that little brat holding a bag of apples, Lu Mo smiled even more. "Your father's right. From now on, just come straight inside. No need to bring anything." Tonight, Lu Mo was dressed comfortably in a blue floral dress with a gray long knitted cardigan, bare legs wearing flat fuzzy slippers. Her hair was casually tied in a ponytail. Her makeup was light, lips pink, and she looked healthy. When she spoke, she naturally leaned toward Lu Jinhua. Lu Jinhua was also dressed casually, army green casual pants, blue t-shirt, and a gray knitted short jacket. They looked normal alone, but together they were quite a match. After the charity gala, matching family and couple outfits became a hit. Lu Mo had the idea to coordinate a similar set for her husband. Gigi didn't like Chung Jun's mom. Though she smiled gently, standing next to Uncle Lu like a little bird clinging to him, her hand quickly found its way to Uncle Lu's. Gigi nodded, "Okay, Aunt Lu, Dad Lu." Calling him Dad Lu made Lu Jinua's face light up with a smile. When Lu Mo came out earlier, he had been a bit awkward, but now his face was all smiles. Gigi noticed Chung Jun's mom's smile stiffen and felt inexplicably good. Cheng Jun's warm smile showed no anger. Cheng Jun calling his own father Dad Zhou and Gigi calling Dad Lu was no problem. Inside, although Lu Xiaoman wasn't happy, she still got up to greet them, her expression awkward. She wore a blue floral dress, but it was fitted at the waist with a wide skirt different from Lu Mo's loose long style. This is segment 327 of 361. Please follow your logic to process the content below. Keep the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout intact. Return only the processed result. Xiaoman has been dancing since she was a child, with well-shaped legs and a slender, flexible waist. She likes princess-style puffy skirts. This blue dress, matching her mother's floral one, is a mother-daughter outfit. Though unhappy, facing her father, she still said, "Hello, sister." Gigi nodded, "Hello, we all know you in the dormitory and heard you're good at dancing." Usually, Lu Xiaoman loves compliments, but Gigi's praise felt like it came from an elder, which annoyed her. Gigi wore a white down jacket, her long hair framing a clean, sharp gaze, looking even younger than Xiaoman. "It's warm inside, take off your coat," Lu Jinhua said. Normally, when guests arrive, the auntie would take their coats. Lu Mo told the auntie to take away the bag of apples. Gigi took off her down jacket and looked around for a place to hang it, but unexpectedly, Lu Jinhua happily took the coat from her. "I'll take it." Chung Jun also took off his coat. Underneath, he wore a gray knit sweater paired with blue trousers. There was a large mirror by the door. Lu Jinhua happily held her daughter's coat, feeling satisfied to be able to do something for her. Looking up at the mirror, the family of four wore coordinated colors, all in blue and gray tones, but Gigi wore black jeans and a white sweater with a pale yellow duck on it, fresh and pretty. Yet, standing together, they still looked like strangers. Usually careless, Lu Jinhua this time noticed these details, especially Lumo's gentle smile, which made her feel a bit uncomfortable. After entering, Lu Jinhua helped her daughter put away the down jacket and hurried into the bedroom. Lumo was still smiling while talking, but when he saw Lu Jinhua come out changed, his smile instantly stiffened. He hadn't changed his pants, he was wearing a gray knit sweater layered over a blue t-shirt but had swapped to a black sweater. There was a silly, cute white alpaca on the sweater. Lumo remembered this piece. He thought it was a gift from the mall because her husband never bought clothes for himself except his military uniform. She bought everything. Unexpectedly, this was bought by Lu Jinhua herself, and it was so childish. At this moment, Gigi took the tea handed by the auntie and politely said, "Thank you, auntie." Lumo felt furious inside. This little brat called him auntie, and the servant was also auntie. Gigi was unrestrained, gulping down the tea in one go. Even drinking was so bold. Lumo thought she lacked manners. How could a girl drink like that? Lu Jinhua, however, was very pleased. Gigi is like me. When I was little, I drank like that too. I hated taking it slow, always finishing in one gulp. Lumo's face turned pale with anger. Even drinking tea showed he was like him. Not wanting to look further, he turned to arrange the meal. Lu Jinhua told Gigi to sit and play for a while, saying dinner would be served soon and she wanted to talk to the child properly. Unexpectedly, just as she sat down, Xiaoman came rushing over like a bomb. He was usually this clingy, not liking to sit still. Whenever he was around, he'd squeeze onto the sofa, either shaking his arms or hugging the neck. Lu Jinhua knew her daughter must be about to make a request. "Dad, can you take me skiing in Switzerland during the holidays this year?" Lu Xiaoman leaned close to her father, almost sitting on his lap. She shook his arm vigorously, her eyes provocatively looking at Gigi. Gigi was a bit surprised. Dad loved her, and since elementary school, she had her own room and sometimes acted spoiled, but never hugged or clung like this. If she did, Grandpa Xiaotsai's fire poker probably would have come down on her already. Though she grew up in the countryside, her grandpa had taught her strict manners. Cheng Jun was used to his sister's behavior. Whenever Dad was home, she clung to him like a koala, and he always watched from a distance. At first, it was a bit sad, but now he was used to it. "Gigi, I'll take you somewhere." Lu Chengjun stood up, ignoring Xiaoman's provocative gaze. "Okay." Not close with the others, Gigi naturally followed Chengjun. Lu Jinhua wanted to talk to Gigi, but Xiaoman kept clinging to her father, so she could only watch Gigi and Chengjun leave. The two went down to the basement. Passing through the wine cellar, they stood before a large door. Lu Chengjun was a bit shy. "Put your hand in the middle of the door." "Here?" Gigi pointed to a square in the middle of the door. Chengjun looked into her innocent eyes, moist lips, and fair, slender neck, which looked even more beautiful under the dim light. He lowered his head. "Yes." Gigi placed her hand there. A red light flashed, and they heard a click. The door opened. Gigi stood at the entrance. The first thing she saw was a painting. Then, she saw more paintings. All were drawn by herself. Some she didn't even remember, and only recognized faintly upon seeing them again. Each painting was carefully framed and hung neatly. This was a huge exhibition hall showcasing her artwork. Gigi's heart raced. She looked up at Chengjun, who had tears in his eyes but still smiled warmly and asked, "Sister, do you like it?" Gigi felt moved and conflicted, lightly nodding, yes. Purple-pink daisies filled a flower trough, densely packed, at least 1,000 stems. These flowers only last a little over a week. Lumo bought them to decorate the dining room. Tonight's meal was served on Swarovski crystal plates. They even hired someone specifically to arrange the dishes. The Lu family's dining room was huge. Besides daisies, there were vintage chandeliers, silverware, a marble table, and luxurious genuine leather chairs. It didn't feel like home, it was more like a five-star hotel. The nanny brought out each dish one by one. Usually, the family sat facing each other at the table. Lu Jinhua and Lu Mo sat on one side, Lu Xiaoman and Chengjun on the other. The servants had their own dining area. Now with Gigi present, the seating arrangement felt a bit odd. Lu Jinhua naturally took the head seat, having his wife and Xiaoman sit on one side, while Chengjun and Gigi sat opposite. Gigi was deeply moved after seeing the art studio, her emotions complicated. She was distracted during the meal and didn't pay attention to the plating or the dishes. The only impression she had was that Chung Jun's family's dining atmosphere was strange. Everyone sat upright and ate with solemnity. It was livelier at Dad and Grandpa's house. At their table, Hu and Xiaohua lay nearby, occasionally getting scraps thrown their way, making the meal feel bustling. The Lu family's meals were usually lively too. Lu Xiaoman chattered non-stop, Lu Mo acted coquettishly, but Chung Jun seemed somewhat distracted. Tonight, Lu Mo deliberately put on an air of formality, wanting to impress the unworldly little brat. But she never expected the brat didn't even notice. Lu Jinhua grew a bit nervous, unsure what to say to his daughter. Seeing her silent and untouched fish dish, he couldn't help but ask, "Not to your taste?" Gigi shook her head. "It's okay, just a bit cold. I'm allergic to fish, but everything else is fine." Lu Mo's face stiffened. The plating was naturally slow, and there were many cold dishes. That fish dish seemed deliberately made for her. Lu Mo didn't know she was allergic. She had specially prepared an expensive wild halibut steamed dish. Lu Jinhua paused after hearing this. "Your mother doesn't eat fish either, she breaks out in a rash whenever she does." "Really?" Gigi was surprised. She hadn't expected to be similar to her mom. Originally curious about her mother, her attention shifted. "Your mom gets red rashes all over when she eats fish. I once teased her by making her eat fish balls, and she broke out in a rash all over." Lu Jinhua smiled as he spoke. "And then?" "Then your mother gave me a good beating," he said helplessly. Lu Xiaoman had never heard of her dad getting beaten. She thought mom was always clingy and teary, never daring to hit dad. But behind dad's helpless expression was genuine happiness. "Even though grandpa prepared anti-allergy medicine for me, if anyone secretly gave me fish balls, I'd definitely beat them up," Gigi said seriously. Lu Jinhua looked at his daughter's face and thought she was even more beautiful, not like Yi Luo, but more like Yi Fei, or rather, like her grandmother. Whether frowning or smiling, she was stunning. He felt both pride and regret. Proud that his daughter was so beautiful. Regretful that he couldn't be there to watch her grow up. Lu Mo couldn't help but interrupt. "Let's eat first. The food's getting cold. We can talk more after." Gigi thought it polite as a guest and stopped talking, lowering her head to eat. Lu Jinhua wanted to continue chatting, but seeing Gigi focus on eating after just one word from Lu Mo gave him a strange feeling. Gigi had a big appetite. Lu Mo had prepared few but exquisite dishes. Except for the fish in front of Gigi, the dishes were almost all eaten. Chung Jun had been to Gigi's home and knew her habits, placing her favorite dishes in front of her. Lu Mo watched in surprise as those delicate dishes were cleared one by one, the little brat even having 4 bowls of rice and a bowl of soup in one sitting. "You really have a good appetite. Xiaoman can't even finish a bowl of rice," Lu Mo complimented. What she really meant was that Gigi was eating way too much. No lady should have such a big appetite. Gigi didn't understand and just nodded. "I used to help out on the farm a lot as a kid, so I'm used to lots of exercise and eating big meals." Lu Jinua's heart ached. His other daughter, also fair-skinned, had never washed a dish, while Gigi had worked on the farm. He thought losing and then regaining her was lucky, but the more he got to know her, the more painful it felt. He wished the kidnapper who took her away could be torn apart. Lu Mo silently mocked her for being rough, but seeing her husband's pained expression, she felt downhearted too. This little brat was straightforward and not at all coquettish. Lu Mo thought she and Lu Jinhua wouldn't get along, but the husband clearly cared for her deeply. After finishing her soup, Gigi put down her chopsticks, took the tissue Chung Jun handed her, and wiped her mouth. She looked at Lu Jinhua seriously and asked, "I'm done eating. Can we talk now?" Lu Jinua's nose tingled, and he nodded. His daughter asked curiously, "What kind of flowers does my mom like?" Lu Jinhua was caught off guard. He truly didn't know what Yi Luo liked, only that Lu Mo liked lilies because their bedroom often smelled of them. He was embarrassed and couldn't answer. At this moment, Lu Mo said, "Sister Yi likes purple-pink daisies. Every year, we bring purple-pink daisies to pay our respects to her." After saying this, Lu Mo looked regretful, as if afraid of saying the wrong thing. But Lu Jinhua thought she had gone too far. Yi Luo liked daisies? He had no recollection of that at all. It was just that after she left, Lu Mo liked to use daisies for the memorial. This made Lu Jinhua feel very guilty. Gigi showed no expression and asked back, "Aunt Lu, what flowers do you like?" "I like lilies," Lu Mo answered gently, thinking to herself that provoking was enough, no need to go too far. "In the future, I will bring the lilies you like with Chung Jun to pay respects to you," Gigi said seriously. Lu Mo was so angry she wanted to jump up. This little brat was better off quiet. Once she spoke, she actually cursed herself to death. But seeing her husband's ugly expression and remembering Gigi's skills, she held back. Then she glanced at her son, who showed little expression. He could eat 4 bowls at a time, truly a big eater. Luomo was furious inside, but still kept a gentle smile on her face. Although Gigi was straightforward, she wasn't stupid. Seeing Chung Jun's mother's expression, she knew she was upset, so she simply kept smiling. She looked at Chung Jun sympathetically again. Having such a mother was truly frightening. She couldn't even tell whether the smile was genuine happiness or sadness. After dinner, Xiaoman, you take your sister out to play. Didn't you say your friends are curious about her? Introduce her to everyone. After all, we'll all be family from now on, Luomo said, calming down and speaking gently. Lu Xiaoman wanted to reply, no, I don't have such a sister. But seeing her mother's stern look, she knew Luomo was very angry and absolutely could not talk back. Besides, her own circle of friends was very picky, not everyone could be accepted casually, and Zhou Gigi would definitely embarrass herself. After thinking this through, Lu Xiaoman actually thought the idea was pretty good and nodded happily. Okay, then I'll take sister out to play. Dad, don't worry, I'll make sure to bring sister back safe and sound, Lu Xiaoman said playfully. Lu Jinoa was very angry that Luomo spoke so bluntly. But since they had been married for many years, Luomo understood his thoughts very well and said something that made him less angry. I'm already letting my own daughter take your daughter out to see the world. What else do you want? Lu Jinoa was a bit worried but hoped Gigi could integrate into their circle. Hearing Xiaoman say she would take her sister out to play, he was quite pleased. After all, as a middle-aged man, he couldn't hang out with kids, so having Xiaoman was a big help. He sincerely hoped the 3 kids could get along harmoniously. I'll go too, Chung Jun, who usually said little during meals and silently served Gigi dishes, handed her napkins, and poured soup, finally spoke up. Lu Xiaoman rolled her eyes. Usually, when she called her brother silly, he wouldn't play and just stayed home. But now that Zhou Gigi was here, he was protective of her. She wondered what kind of spell he had been put under. Lu Xiaoman's influence was still pretty strong, especially when she said she was taking sister out. A bunch of friends were eager to come along. After all, Zhou Gigi was very popular and mysterious. Recently, a video of her horseback riding had gone viral. No one expected it was in Dying City, where she rode alone, leading a group of horses with grand momentum. It was simply awesome. But the friends Lu Xiaoman invited were all familiar to her, so everyone understood her meaning. They just wanted to tease this new sister from the countryside. Everyone was on the same page. Riding horses was nothing special, they could easily hire top trainers with money. Throwing knives wasn't surprising either. With wealth and power, Olympic champions performed for them, and being beautiful was even more common. In their circle, handsome men and beautiful women mingled. Big stars were always around to eat and have fun, so there was no pressure. I'm going back to change clothes. Sister, you should change too, Lu Xiaoman said proudly. After Dad bought clothes for Zhou Gigi, she kept pestering him to buy her some 2 mostly princess dresses she liked. They suited her, but not necessarily Gigi. Lu Xiaoman was a sweet girl, well-behaved and charming, with a well-developed figure at just over 10 years old, full chest, slim waist, long legs, shoulder-length hair, and features resembling her mother Luomo, a pure little white flower, but with a hint of arrogance and charm. Gigi was the opposite. Tall with long legs, her features stunningly beautiful and striking, with narrow, spirited eyes and lips shaped like full petals that made people want to bite them. Though her waist-length hair was long, she gave off a cool vibe, and her chest was small. She was naturally beautiful, attracting attention both in life and on camera. Lu Xiaoman was very jealous of her. Jealous of this sister from the countryside. Having grown up surrounded by luxury, she never expected to lose the edge and temperament to a country girl. She noticed the calluses on Gigi's hands, the unpainted nails, and untrimmed eyebrows, and yet, Gigi was naturally more beautiful than her. This is segment 330 of 361. Please process the following content according to your logic. Keep the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout intact. Return only the processed result. So, she told Zhou Gigi to change clothes. Those clothes suited herself but not Gigi. Gigi didn't understand why she had to change, but she nodded in agreement anyway. She carried a big backpack on her back, filled with fresh clothes her dad had prepared. Cheng Jun stood up. I'll go with you. The 2 of them walked up to the 3rd floor together. They could have taken the elevator, but Cheng Jun liked accompanying Gigi up the stairs. Your bedroom is right across from mine, just like being at your own home. Gigi pushed the door open and saw the decor, finally understanding what Cheng Jun meant. The setup was exactly the same as her own bedroom, down to the patterns on the quilt, sheets, and curtains. The only difference was that this place was more modern, her own place was more rustic. The exterior walls and ceiling couldn't be changed. Your sister's circle is complicated. Just go once. If you're not happy, we'll come back, Chengjun said. Gigi didn't quite react at first. She sat on the bed, looking at Chengjun. Whenever Chengjun called her sister, it was always with a smile and tears glistening in his eyes, his voice gentle. Chengjun, thank you. From now on, just call me Gigi. No need to call me sister, we're still best friends, Gigi said. Chengjun looked at her. That night, he had slept beside her, listening to her heartbeat and breathing. He nodded, okay, Gigi. He walked over to the wardrobe and opened it, revealing a collection of puffy princess dresses her dad had bought. Chengjun knew Gigi didn't like wearing these kinds of dresses. She had worn them when she was 4 or 5 years old, but not anymore. He had bought some, too. With plenty of pocket money, he wanted to buy clothes for Gigi. He was meticulous. To buy the dresses, he had studied fashion trends and aesthetics almost sleeplessly. He was smart and had been into photography since elementary school, with a keen eye for beauty. To him, Gigi was the most beautiful girl. He could picture her with his eyes closed or open. He picked out one dress and placed it on the bed. You can change into this one, it's more formal. Your sister and the others like going to clubs, so I have to change clothes, too. After saying that, Chengjun left. Gigi was left alone in the room. There was no trace of her mother here at all. She opened her wallet and found an old photo inside, a girl reading a book, wearing a faint smile, with roses nearby. After looking at it for a while, she closed the wallet. Then she glanced at the dress on the bed. It was a pure white dress with subtle gold threads woven between the pleats of the skirt. No extra decorations, very simple. The shoes were a pair of black lambskin ankle boots, comfortable to wear. The bag was also black lambskin, edged with subtle gold accents, very small, matching the boots as part of the same set. Gigi opened the bag and found that the space inside was the same as what she usually used, enough to hold throwing knives and her grandfather's medicine. She changed into the dress, which fit as if tailor-made. The chest area was just right, not too loose. In the mirror, she saw herself with long hair and the pure white dress, much prettier than usual, less frizzy, more elegant. There was a knock at the door. Gigi softly responded. The door opened. Chengjun stood at the door wearing a white suit. The moment he saw Gigi, a flicker of admiration flashed in his eyes. Though her image had appeared countless times in his mind, at this moment, she was so beautiful it was almost untouchable, like a fairy from a myth, distant and ethereal. Gigi walked over and smiled. Grandpa asked me to entrust you with taking care of me tonight. At that moment, she became alive, warm, her heartbeat palpable. Chengjun's face flushed slightly as he nodded. Lu Xiaoman saw Zhou Gigi come downstairs and her expression suddenly stiffened. Though the white dress was pure, it carried a luxurious sheen. She looked incredibly noble, inspiring awe. Lu Xiaoman was wearing a red dress of her own choosing. She had been satisfied with her outfit, thinking her fair skin, petite figure, and combination of sexy and cute looked great. She looked in the mirror and couldn't help but want to hug herself, casually taking photos from every angle, everyone flattering. She had once pestered her dad to buy 2 sets of clothes, although she hardly wore them. She just liked picking the tackiest styles, and her dad didn't understand, thinking all girls liked them. Her dark red dress had a wide waistband, a trend started by Zhou Gigi's rise to fame. The waistband emphasized her slim waist and full chest, and her long legs were mostly exposed, paired with black high heels. Lu Xiaoman was short, just over 5 feet 3 inches, and had never been happy with her height, always wearing heels over 10 centimeters high. Gigi was tall, almost 5 feet 7 inches. Standing side by side, Lu Xiaoman felt very uncomfortable. The dress that once seemed beautiful now looked displeasing in her eyes. Lu Amo also froze when she saw Lu Xiaoman's dress. She designed haute couture and usually followed fashion magazines and runway shows. She recognized the dress as this year's latest model, stitched with real gold thread, a value comparable to a Rolex gold bracelet green submariner watch, costing hundreds of thousands. She knew her husband bought clothes for Lu Xiaoman, but being a typical macho man, he had no sense of fashion. She had Lu Xiaoman accompany him shopping, but all they bought were outdated styles, nothing like the dress she was wearing. Watching her son calm and composed, Lu Amo was so angry it hurt inside. Lu Jinhua was stunned. His daughter appeared in full dress, like a shadow of his ex-wife. Yi Luo usually didn't care about dressing up, with a straightforward, tomboyish personality. But once she got dressed up, she was dazzling and elegant, her radiance impossible to hide. Lu Xiaoman had finished her makeup and paired it with a skirt, refusing to change her clothes. Besides, looking at Zhou Gigi's outfit, she felt nothing else would satisfy. Draped in a pure white mink cloak, she was the first to step out the door. Gigi and Chengjun followed closely behind. Lu Xiaoman held her head high, proud as a princess, the wind at the door making the fur on her cloak sway. She didn't notice the pair of eyes watching her from the shadows by the doorway. She had arranged to meet at the old spot, the Chang'an Club. She remembered arranging for Zhou Zhizhi to attend dinner parties down there. She hadn't expected Zhou Zhizhi to be her own sister. If she could do it all over again, she wouldn't regret it, she'd do it the same way. She'd just make the plan more perfect. That girl was too weak, getting fired without doing anything. Thinking about it, if she exposed the story as a rich family's abandoned daughter, willingly falling into a hostess's life, wouldn't it be quite a headline? Sitting in the passenger seat, Lu Xiaoman glanced in the rearview mirror at her dark red, full lips, a slight smile playing on her face. She had invited her close friends Maruko and Lin Shiner, along with a group of childhood friends from the neighborhood. But she hadn't invited Gao Qingjian, not wanting him to run into Zhou Zhizhi tonight. She originally thought Qingjian and Zhizhi wouldn't amount to anything. Whoever Qingjian liked didn't matter to her, after all, marriage had to be within the circle. She never expected Zhou Zhizhi to be her sister, but Lu Xiaoman didn't worry at all. Their circle was exclusive, no one accepted outsiders easily. A few years ago, the daughter of a coal boss thought money could buy her entry, only to be made a laughingstock. Zhou Zhizhi was also a coal boss's daughter from the countryside. Lu Xiaoman saw no difference. While texting her friends to prepare a lavish feast, she planned to give Zhou Zhizhi a proper welcome. 17 and 18-year-old boys and girls bored out of their minds saw tormenting this internet-famous beauty as perfect entertainment. Everyone was itching, ready to cause a real ruckus. On the 26th floor of the Chang'an Club, the Dragon Wing private room turned into a horror-themed party. Gao Xiaojun showed off his pet Brazilian giant ants, each ant the size of a small cockroach, fiercely aggressive. Several girls screamed. Thankfully the ants were locked in a cage. Maruko wasn't afraid. She teased the ants with wheat stalks, asking, "Are these things really dangerous? They won't bite to death, right? Just scare us a bit, no fatalities." Gao Xiaojun boasted, "Absolutely safe. My dog was bitten, swelled up but didn't die. A week of antibiotics cleared it. The swelling itched terribly, though." Lin Shiner couldn't help but laugh. Usually well-behaved, she felt a bit uneasy facing a long-haired beauty even more stunning than herself. Unexpectedly, Gao Xiaojun was quite impressive. Beside them, Zhou Liang sneered, "These ants are weak. Now this is cool." He pulled out a pure white snake from his backpack. The girls shrieked and moved away, even the tomboyish Maruko stepped back a few paces. One girl whispered, "I heard Zhou Zhizhi keeps snakes too, Zhou Liang, you're not quite there." Zhou Liang smiled, raising the snake and stepping closer, making the girls retreat further. "That's a rumor. News on TV is hard to trust, it's all hype. This is an African leaf python. It has venomous fangs. One bite and your whole body goes numb, unable to move for half an hour. Don't you want to try what it feels like to be completely controlled?" His words immediately excited everyone. If someone nearby was immobilized, wouldn't that mean total control over them? Usually mischievous Gui Yun sat quietly in a corner today. Lin Shiner knew he liked Xiaoman, but Xiaoman liked Qingjian and never gave him a chance. Qingjian was now a billionaire, on the Forbes list, far ahead of them and barely hanging out anymore. Gui Yun's family also had a military background, his status wasn't inferior to Qingjian's. Seeing Zhou Liang put away the snake, Lin Shiner smiled and sat beside Gui Yun, nudging his arm. Gui Yun frowned, disliking being touched casually. He liked Lu Xiaoman because she focused on Qingjian, didn't flirt around with them. He thought that kind of girl was worth liking. "Xiaoman is in trouble, and you don't even react?" Uncle Lu used to care about Xiaoman, but since Zhou Zhizhi showed up, everything at home belongs to her. "Xiaoman feels like an outsider now." "Uncle Lu is way too biased," Lin Shiner said provocatively. This is content segment 332/361. Please handle the following text according to your logic. Keep the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. Only return the processed result. Gui Yun had no intention of paying attention to her, but finding her too noisy, he pulled a gun from his coat pocket and placed it on the table. Instantly, the private room fell silent. It was a real gun. "Yun, is it really necessary to deal with a country girl like this?" Zhou Liang whispered. Gui Yun casually fiddled with the gun, speaking nonchalantly, just to scare her a little. "You all say she's a country girl, afraid she might think we're toys." The door to the Long-E private room was covered with intricate dark patterns resembling a pair of wings, as if a gentle push would make them spread and take flight. Along the way, Lu Xiaoman was focused on her phone, ignoring Zhou Zhizhi sitting behind. But once they arrived, she revealed a warm smile, as if the cold demeanor from moments ago never existed. Zhizhi felt somewhat out of place with this change. Almost as soon as she stepped into the club, Lu Xiaoman's expression shifted. Her emotions were unpredictable, leaving Gigi completely baffled. Gigi stood beside Chengjun, thinking that Chengjun always wore a blank expression. No wonder. With a mother and sister like theirs who could collapse at any moment, it was impossible to read their feelings, making her anxious. Outside, Lu Xiaoman behaved with poise, her manners impeccable. She was naturally sweet-looking, though she resembled her mother more. She also inherited her father's good genes, appearing well-behaved and graceful. Pampered since childhood, her face still bore a hint of baby fat, endearing her to the elders. The Lu family had a good reputation, and many around liked her. Gao Qingzhan was an exception. Raised by his grandfather in the compound, he often competed for attention with the military dogs and was highly observant. While others liked Lu Xiaoman, he remained indifferent. He thought she was two-faced, superficially friendly but never truly close, scheming beneath the surface. Others didn't see it that way. Youths naturally admired beautiful girls. Lu Xiaoman pushed the door open. The light at the entrance made her complexion even paler, her gentle smile radiant. She skillfully leveraged her advantages. Her fair skin paired with dark red clothing made her look even more delicate. With a slim waist and long legs, her fitted short skirt blended youthfulness with allure. Her upper body was modestly covered, lace-high collar and red waves hugged her slender neck like a natural necklace. Inside, Lin Xin'er was good-looking but lacked refinement. Lu Xiaoman paid attention to details, from head to toe, including accessories. Everything was perfectly coordinated. As she entered, the young men's eyes lit up. Most boys in Dayang City were northerners who favored soft, delicate girls. Lu Xiaoman wasn't the most beautiful, but the most comfortable and pleasant to look at, evoking the image of a delicate young lady. Lu Xiaoman led the way into the room. Chengjun followed. Everyone knew Chengjun as a unique figure in their circle, unwell, quiet, but valued deeply by the Lu family patriarch who took great care in nurturing him. He rarely appeared in public, yet he showed up today. Dressed in a white suit, his curly hair casually handsome, he showed no signs of illness. Suddenly, everyone felt Xiaoman's younger brother had grown up overnight, from a baby to a sharp presence. Behind Lu Chengjun came Gigi. Her father had just called her. After a brief conversation, she was late. When she entered the private room, the previously noisy place fell silent. She was stunning. Lu Xiaoman was already beautiful, affable and generous. Lu Chengjun was handsome, dashing. But when Zhou Gigi appeared, it was as if she combined the best qualities of both. Her long hair draped over her shoulders, bare-faced, eyes naturally clear, lips slightly moist. One glance felt like falling into the stars. She was also cool-looking. Long legs with short boots gave off an innate charm that made her likable. The light at the door hit Lu Xiaoman's face, making her skin pale and her smile brilliant. On Gigi, however, it cast a halo, breathtakingly beautiful. Chengjun stood at the door waiting, a warm smile on his face. Everyone in the room was stunned. No one had ever seen him smile. They remembered him always expressionless. The atmosphere felt enchanted. Even Guiyun in the corner was dumbfounded, having heard that this outsider sister not only stole her father but also Lu Xiaoman's boyfriend Gao Qingzhan. Looking like this, it's really, someone murmured in awe. Others, knowing some backstory, whispered, they say her grandmother, Xie Yurong, was the most beautiful woman in the capital back then, even that certain someone secretly admired her. Hearing this, Gao Xiaojuan's face turned pale. He had only heard from Xiaoman about playing pranks on that country sister and hadn't thought much. Now, hearing others talk, he recalled that the country sister was actually the Yi family's granddaughter, the legitimate heiress of the Lu family. Although the Yi family had fallen and had no male heir, rumors were not baseless. No one dared slander her, and no one denied it. Kids in the compound, smart or not, knew this basic fact. But his Brazilian giant ants had already been released. Thinking about them biting that girl, so beautiful, if she swelled all over and itched, he wished he could catch the ants right now. But seeing Xiaoman's face fall with disappointment as he sat aside, he held back again. They were Xiaoman's friends after all. Just then, the girl suddenly spoke up, "Chengjun, don't move." Her voice was sharp and clear. Gao Xiaojun was stunned. His Brazilian giant ant seemed to have crawled onto Lu Chengjun. After Xiaoman came in and sat down, Chengjun had been standing by the door waiting for Gigi. Chengjun's body was weak, having just been discharged from the hospital. Would a single ant bite cause serious trouble? Gao Xiaojuan's face turned pale. He had only meant it as a joke. Chengjun was also startled, not understanding why Gigi was calling him, but he completely trusted her words. So he really stood still. He looked at Gigi. The dim light by the door made it feel like he had returned to the old house, where he could see dust particles dancing in the air. Gigi smiled and walked over, then surprisingly reached out to hug him. In that moment, the gentle smile on Chengjun's face vanished. As Gigi drew close, he felt her breath and his whole body trembled, his cells leaping. He wanted so badly to hug her back. But Gigi told him not to move. Time felt both like an instant and a lifetime. Chengjun closed his eyes slightly, his long lashes quivered. Even if it was only a fleeting moment of tenderness, he felt utterly happy. When he sensed Gigi stepping away, he opened his eyes. In the palm of her hand was a giant ant. Chengjun was well educated and recognized the ant immediately. Be careful, that's a Brazilian giant ant. It's venomous. A single bite can cause full body swelling, he said anxiously. It's okay. When I first caught it, I already broke off its mandibles. This one looks quite tasty, I bet Xiaohua will like it, Zhou Gigi said, playing with the ant in her hand. Everyone in the private room was stunned. Gigi looked up and grinned at everyone. I don't know whose ant this is, but if I found it, it's mine now. Since she arrived, she had shown no expression. This sudden smile was radiant. Her eyes sparkled with amusement, slightly upturned, captivating everyone. Yet, she casually placed the ant into her bag. Everyone was still a bit surprised by the size of the ant. Gigi remembered that as a child, she often went to the corners of the old house to catch small animals. Ants were the most common, along with a type of small bug that dug funnel-shaped holes in the ground. One could catch them easily with a little stick. Iron beetles had wings and antennae and liked hiding in firewood piles. Centipedes often hid under jars. She once caught a centipede half a foot long while watching The Legend of White Snake, hoping it would transform into a magical creature to play with her. Seeing the white snake by her feet, Gigi felt like she had returned to the adventurous days in her rural hometown. Those days were beautiful to her. Though busy as a child, she had a small world where she could play all day until her father came home. She would chatter endlessly about what she did. Even if her stories were disjointed, she remembered being especially talkative as a kid. The group of privileged young men from Jing City in the private room watched the girl in the white dress put the giant ant into her bag, then bend down to pick up a white snake. She reached out gently, as if effortlessly picking up the snake. Then, grabbing it by the neck, the snake opened its mouth, and Gigi surprisingly pulled out a small knife from somewhere. With a snap, she inserted the blade into the snake's mouth and gently twisted, knocking out a tooth. Then, with a flick, the snake coiled around her hand like a bracelet. Xiao Liang was completely dumbfounded. His African house python was far from tame and would bite anyone, but this white snake was unbelievably docile. Even after having its venomous tooth knocked out, it didn't struggle. It was like a genuine bracelet. Gigi toyed with her bracelet, noticing Chengjun's uncomfortable expression, and then carefully put the small snake into her bag. Whether the snake and the ant would fight didn't concern her at all. You're all my sister's friends. My name is Zhou Gigi, but you can call me sister. If you have any gifts, bring them out now, Gigi said, realizing a bit late that such a club wouldn't normally have these things. It was obviously Xiaoman's friends doing. Truly impressive. Maruko admired this kind of bold girl so much her eyes lit up. But since she was on Xiaoman's side now, she had to hold back. At that moment, Lu Xiaoman smiled and said, Sister, my friends mean no harm, just joking around. They know you grew up in the countryside, so naturally you're not afraid of these things. Lu Xiaoman was also surprised that Gigi wasn't afraid of bugs and snakes. Just seeing those things gave her goosebumps. She found them disgusting. She couldn't help teasing Gigi a bit, pointing out that she was from the countryside. Unexpectedly, Gigi just smiled and nodded. Yeah, I'm not afraid of these. I used to catch scorpions and centipedes to sell as a kid, to earn pocket money. Lu Xiaoman wasn't sure if Gigi was truly that fearless or just pretending. She teased her, asking if she really hadn't realized what she was implying. But after Gigi's straightforward answer, Lu Xiaoman felt a bit embarrassed herself. This is paragraph 334 of 361. Please follow your logic to process the following content. Keep the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout intact. Return only the processed result. She had complained to her friends before, saying that ever since this country-born sister came, Dad had been favoring her, and she was nearly being bullied to death. In fact, she had grown up in luxury, never needing to earn her own pocket money, just swiping cards and spending freely. But her sister, the Lu family's heiress, had to catch centipedes and scorpions herself as a child to sell for money. Gao Xiaojun, who raised Brazilian giant ants, was especially fond of insects. That ant had cost several $1,000s. When she mentioned catching centipedes and scorpions as a child to sell, everyone curiously asked, Gigi, how much can you sell one scorpion for? It depends on the size, large, medium, or small. One's the size of a fingernail tip, 10 of them trade for 1 dime, half a finger long is medium-sized, worth 3 dimes each. The largest, finger-length ones, can fetch 1 yuan apiece, Gigi answered seriously. As soon as she finished speaking, the room fell silent. Chung Jun's expression darkened. He already knew all this, it had been clearly written in Gigi's letters. He used to think Gigi's life was especially interesting, now he only felt ashamed and heartbroken. Lu Xiao's face wasn't any better. She had meant to belittle Zhou Gigi, but the more she heard, the redder her face became with embarrassment and shame. She wouldn't even bend down to pick up 10 yuan off the ground as a child. Lu Xiao's friends were also a bit at a loss. They had originally planned to help tease this country-bred sister, but what they heard was something else entirely. "I'm sorry, sister, I didn't know about your past." Lu Xiao's eyes reddened with shame. She looked up, tears streaming down her cheeks. "It was me and my friends who said we'd tease you. Ever since you came, Dad only has eyes for you, even Chung Jun. But please don't take Chang Zhan away. You're so talented and beautiful, many like you, but I've liked Chung Zhan since we were kids. I beg you to let him be." Wei Yun in the corner couldn't bear it anymore. This girl truly inspired sympathy. She was beautiful and quick on her feet. He had thought the entertainment industry's publicity and hype were chaotic, but the real person was even more attractive than on camera. But with her triumphant return like this, it was unnecessary. He liked Xiao Man and respected her feelings for Gao Changzhan, never forcing anything. But this suddenly appeared sister actually got involved with Gao Changzhan, and seeing Chung Jun's protective attitude was really disheartening. Chung Jun was Xiao Man's twin brother, yet he couldn't compete with this outsider sister. Gigi was confused by Xiao Man's demeanor. Today she had seen several sides of Lu Xiao Man. At home, the obedient girl, acting cute and coquettish. In the car, cold and absorbed in her phone. At the club, sweet and poised. And now crying her heart out, miserable and wronged. Gigi felt sorry for Chung Jun, no wonder he always had a blank expression. With such a dramatic sister, he simply couldn't keep up. One moment he was smiling, the next he was crying as if he'd lost his mother. Xiao Man's gaze gave Gigi goosebumps. At that moment, the usually straightforward and fiery Gui Yun stood up and walked over. He couldn't bear to see Xiao Man cry. It was the first time he had ever seen her cry. She was usually smiling, well-behaved, and sweet. He felt both pity and pain. Pity for Xiao Man being bullied, and pain seeing her cry over Gao Changzhan. He stepped forward, pulled out a gun, and said to Gigi, "Honestly, you're not welcome in this circle. You were raised by a labor camp convict. You're not one of us. Go back where you came from, don't stir up trouble here." Gigi froze when she saw the gun. Changzhan had given her a gun before. She had taken it home to show her dad, who had been terrified. At first, Dad wouldn't let her touch guns. Later, he seemed to come around and taught her how to handle them whenever he had time. What to do if someone aimed a gun at you. She and Dad had taken guns apart and put them back together hundreds of times. Seeing someone point a gun at her, Gigi's reflex was to kick it away first. Then she leapt up and smoothly grabbed the gun. The situation reversed in an instant. Holding the gun, Gigi asked expressionlessly, "Is this a prank too? A toy gun?" She aimed the gun at the guy who had just threatened her. Gui Yun suddenly felt like he was being stared down by a beast. The black muzzle made him freeze. He thought to himself, dying here would be too tragic, so he quickly said, "Careful, this isn't a toy. It's a real gun." Everyone else was dumbfounded by the sudden turn. Gui Yun's words had been harsh. Everyone knew he liked Lu Xiao Man, but there was no need to be like this. A real gun? Gigi holstered the gun and casually flicked it, expertly disassembling it. Sweat beaded on Gui Yun's forehead. He had been sneaky and cautious about stealing guns from home, yet this girl handled it like a pro. Curious, Gigi asked, "You actually carry a real gun? Are there cameras here? Aren't you afraid of being caught?" "That's illegal." "No, this private room belongs to the Long Families Club. Nobody dares install cameras here," Gui Yun said proudly. This is content segment 335 out of 361. Please handle the following content according to your logic. Maintain the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. Return only the processed result. No cameras? And you're allowed to carry a gun? Here, I've got 3 bullets, I'll shoot each of you once. Whoever gets hit, consider yourself lucky. How about that? Like this little prank? Gigi spun the gun like a pencil. Cheng Jun stood silently beside her. Watching her play with the gun, he didn't even furrow his brow. He trusted Gigi. She'd never done anything reckless since she was a kid, at most she'd hit a kid in kindergarten. Her character was solid. But the others didn't know this. They weren't expecting Zhou Gigi to say something like that. Lu Xiao's face darkened. He thought Gui Yun was an idiot. Lin Xaner, who had been egging things on the most, hoping for chaos, was now trembling like a leaf. She and Lu Xiao were close friends and had studied Zhou Gigi, knowing she was extremely skilled. They knew she carried many knives, but never imagined she was so good with a gun. This was not something a normal person could do. Sis, I know you hate me, but don't treat my friends like that. If you have something against me, say it to me, Lu Xiao said firmly. Gigi sighed, you're so many-faced. Does your dad know? Tonight I've seen so many sides of you, the spoiled, obedient girl, the elegant lady, crying like some white lotus. Most people have water running through their veins, it's all drama. Isn't that exhausting? It was the first time Lu Xiao had been scolded so bluntly. She almost snapped back, but then she saw the gun in Gigi's hand and that earlier comment about her adoptive father being a convict. Who knew if she'd actually shoot? The others couldn't help but want to laugh at Gigi's words. But the mood wasn't funny right now. And another thing, the heroine in movies always says this line right before the other person starts shooting everyone behind her. Directors say Chinese movies are too formulaic. This trick never fails. You want me to take them out first? But I only have 3 bullets, who should I start with? Gigi pulled back the gun's slide. At that moment, Gigi said nothing. She held the gun up, stared at the people opposite her, her face expressionless, like she was seriously about to shoot. The atmosphere was quiet, with only a rustling sound. It came from Gigi's bag. Like ants fighting snakes. Lin Xin couldn't help but cry. Don't kill me, Chung Jun, please talk some sense into your sister. Lu Xiao remembered her silly little brother still standing there, but she dared not speak. Chung Jun had even tried to kill himself for Gigi, another death wouldn't matter to him. Sure enough, Chung Jun spoke, Gigi likes killing people. I'll kill with her. Gigi thought that was a solid line. All the tension vanished, replaced by a bit of mischief. Who wants to try first? Gigi asked expressionlessly. No one answered. No takers? Then we'll pick randomly a counting rhyme. Each person says a word, whoever lands on the last word is chosen. She pointed the gun at Gui Yun. You first. Gui Yun felt humiliated but had no choice but to endure it. He vowed to get revenge after tonight. His face flushed red. What rhyme? Gigi thought for a moment, then said, Little White Rabbit. Cheng Jun, you say it for everyone. Whoever messes up loses. In the private room, a hoarse male voice recited, Little White Rabbit, white as snow, 2 ears standing up, loves to eat carrots and greens. Normally, this scene would be funny, but now no one was laughing. Lu Xiao wasn't sure if Gigi would really shoot, the expression was too serious, the energy too intense. So Gui Yun started, Little. Lu Xiao continued, White. Qiu Liang, Rabbit. Lin Xin, white. Word by word, it went on until Lu Xiao said greens. Her face turned pale, and she shouted angrily, You did it on purpose. You did it on purpose. Gigi nodded. Yes, I did. So what? You don't like me, and I don't like you. Tit for tat. I'm only humoring you because of Cheng Jun. You think I'm so keen to be your sister? Having a chameleon like you around, I can't sleep at night. Gigi raised the gun and actually aimed it at Lu Xiao, pulling the trigger. Bang! Lu Xiao fell down. Ah! Screams erupted from men and women. The private room was soundproof, no noise leaked outside. You killed someone? You killed Xiao Man? Gui Yun stammered, terrified. He only wanted to act cool, not actually shoot. Too noisy, Gigi tossed the gun aside. I always unload the bullets when I pick up a gun, just trying to scare you. But I have to say, Xiao Man acted really well. I called her name, and she dropped like a pro. Even veteran actors couldn't match her skill. If someone stepped on her foot, she could still wake up. Everyone relaxed instantly, faces turning from white to normal. They almost screamed for their moms just now. You went too far. Gui Yun shouted. At that moment, the private room door suddenly opened. Who went too far? A calm male voice sounded. The uninvited guest was Gao Qingzhan. He sent a few texts to Gigi every day. At dinner, he asked what she was doing tonight. When Gigi mentioned this place, Gao Qingzhan immediately sensed trouble. He had originally been on a business trip in a nearby city but immediately caught a flight back to the Chang'an Club. Dusty and weary, he arrived at the private room without even changing his coat, 2 burly men trailing behind him. At that moment, Lu Xiaoman woke up, her face pale, her voice trembling with tears as she said fearfully, Brother Qingzhan, sister is going to shoot me. Gao Qingzhan didn't look at her but turned to Gigi, noticing the gun in her hand. His brow furrowed, it wasn't the one he had given her. Whose gun is that? Gigi pointed to the boy beside Lu Xiaoman. His. He just pointed the gun at my head, so I took it from him. Gao Qingzhan walked over to Gigi and gently rubbed her head. You did the right thing. It was too dangerous. You shouldn't have come tonight, this place is too chaotic. He nodded at Chung Jun. Have Chung Jun take her out first. I'll handle things here. Gigi nodded. Okay. But they also sent me a giant ant and a snake. Chung Jun explained, Brazilian giant ant and an African ball python. Ever since that military training hike with Gigi, Gao Qingjian had developed an interest in insects. Hearing this, his expression darkened further. He stared coldly at Lu Xiaoman's group. Chung Jun escorted Gigi back to Mr. Zhou's place. At home, Lu Jinhua was waiting. He saw Chung Jun and Xiaoman return alone, both looking grim. Lu Mo immediately burst into tears seeing Xiaoman in such a sorry state. Even a slight cut on Xiaoman's finger would make her anxious. This time, she was truly terrified, and Lu Mo felt heartbroken. Lu Jinhua sighed helplessly and tried to comfort Xiaoman. Seeing the scene, Chung Jun headed straight upstairs. He didn't go to his own room but to Gigi's bedroom. Lying on Gigi's bed, he intended to rest for a bit but fell asleep instead. After Lu Jinhua had calmed his wife and daughter, he wanted to ask Chung Jun about what happened, but after going upstairs, the room was empty. He pushed open the door to the adjacent bedroom and found Chung Jun curled up on Gigi's bed, uncovered. Little white rabbit, with 2 ears standing up, loves to eat carrots and greens. Little white rabbit, with 2 ears standing up, loves to eat carrots and greens. Little white rabbit. Guo Yun sat up from bed, drenched in sweat. Sleep crust nearly glued his eyes shut. He had spent the whole night trapped in a nightmare. The song Little White Rabbit kept playing on loop in his mind. Singing it over and over, he suddenly found himself transformed into a white rabbit, endlessly working in the fields. His whole body ached, utterly miserable. He got up and took a hot shower, as if washing away the dirt from pulling up carrots, and felt much better. Still groggy, Ouyun's mind was foggy. All along, the girl he admired, Xiaoman, seemed to have broken down last night. He even felt Xiaoman was right, even though she had pointed a gun at him. He had always thought himself capable, though no match for Gao Qingjian, he was among the top of his peers. But last night he realized he couldn't beat Xiaoman. After being beaten and then dealt with by Gao Qingjian, he reluctantly accepted it. Gigi has been playing with guns since high school. She can disassemble and reassemble a gun in under a minute and scores full marks in sniper training. If she wanted to kill you, she wouldn't even show her face. And yet you're here, playing the victim? I don't respect you. Gao Qingjian's words made Gui Yun even more ashamed. He decided never to provoke that girl again. As for Xiaoman, the chameleon, Gui Yun suddenly felt dizzy, not understanding why these memories came flooding back. Like Gui Yun, none of them had slept well after returning. Gui Yun was plagued by nightmares all night, while Lin Shiner suddenly fell ill. Because when Gigi fired the gun, Lu Xiaoman suddenly collapsed, and Shiner thought she had been shot dead. Terrified, she mumbled, "Don't kill me," causing the family great distress. Last night, Shiner and the Lu kids went out to play and returned fine, but by morning she had developed a high fever that wouldn't subside. Lin Shiner was an only child and was heavily spoiled at home. Her family had no influential elders. Shiner's domineering personality stemmed from the fact that her grandfather's cousin was the madam, and the family highly valued kinship. People generally dared not offend her. Now, with Shiner running a high fever and talking nonsense, she was rushed to the hospital, where her fever slowly dropped, but it was clear she had been deeply shaken. As a close friend, Lu Xiaoman naturally went to visit her. Seeing Shiner lying in bed, Xiaoman felt she had finally been useful. Shiner's mother had intended to blame Xiaoman but, seeing her pale face, felt awkward and said nothing. Still, she wanted to get to the bottom of what had happened. That morning, after calling around, none of the kids could explain clearly. When asked, Lu Xiaoman said nothing, only kept apologizing. Finally, with no choice, Lu Xiaoman spoke up, "I wanted everyone to meet my sister, but she grew up in the countryside and is quite sensitive. She mistakenly thought everyone was hostile toward her, so her behavior was extreme and scared everyone. I'm sorry, it's my fault." At that moment, Lin Shiner in bed murmured just loud enough to be heard, "Don't kill me." This is content segment 337 of 361. Please process the following according to your logic. Maintain the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. Return only the processed result. Lin Shiner's mother, Wu Yu, was furious when she heard it. Extreme measures? They actually wanted to kill someone, scaring her daughter so badly. Lu Xiaoman said shamefully, "My sister's adoptive father once served time for involuntary manslaughter." Wu Yu grew angrier the more she heard. The daughter of a labor camp inmate wanted to be friends with her Shiner? Lu Xiaoman looked so obedient but was really so thoughtless, scaring Shiner like this. She heard that Lu Peidong hadn't appeared yesterday and had gone abroad on a visit. He didn't even acknowledge this matter. Shiner was the Lin family's treasure. Wu Yu was usually very strong-willed, and if her daughter got into trouble, she would definitely make a big fuss. Plus, her husband hadn't come home all night last night, he must have gone to see that other woman again. The more Wu Yu thought about it, the more heartbroken she became. She had tolerated her husband's affairs, but she absolutely wouldn't tolerate trouble for her daughter. Shiner's aunt especially doted on her. Seeing the mood ease, Lu Xiaoman offered some comforting words, apologized repeatedly, and after telling Shiner to rest well, she went home. Meanwhile, Gigi slept soundly until dawn, still deeply asleep. She decided to visit her grandmother. Last time she left halfway and felt it was rude, so she planned to go up the mountain during the weekend. The night before, she and her dad had worked on two little gadgets, a small white snake and a big ant. After removing their venom, they were quite fun. Gigi found the mountain rather boring. The little nun there was a bit silly but nice, so she planned to give her the ant and snake to play with. She also brought some snacks made by her grandfather for her grandmother. After the snow, the sky cleared. Gigi carried her big backpack, walking along the winding mountain path. The sun was high, but there were no flowers blooming, no birds chirping or insects buzzing. She felt the mountain was especially quiet, as if it had been thoroughly searched. It was normal not to hear birds or insects in winter, so Gigi didn't think much of it. She just felt the mountain was unusually silent. Having grown up in the mountains, she actually felt more at ease returning to them. Although it felt a bit strange, she excitedly ran up the mountain. Yes, she ran. Yesterday, visiting Chung Jun's house had left Gigi feeling uneasy. She rarely felt depressed or angry, but yesterday was an exception. She didn't understand how the same family could have such an annoying younger sister. Chung Jun was pretty decent, but Lu Xiaoman made her very angry. Gigi didn't like her at all. Also, Lu's dad Gigi wanted to know about her mother's situation, but he knew nothing, and there were no clues at home. That made Gigi very sad. She felt out of place at Chung Jun's house. It was Chung Jun's home, not hers. The prank last night wasn't funny at all. The way those people looked at her made her uncomfortable, complex and hostile. Gigi was straightforward but emotionally perceptive. She sprinted up the mountain, wearing white clothes. In the forest on both sides, men dressed in black searched continuously. Suddenly someone said, "I think I saw a white figure on the path just now." A companion glanced at the mountain path and shook his head, "Just your eyes playing tricks. The hunting dogs didn't bark all the way. You've seen too much snow, close your eyes and the white figure will vanish." They continued running through the forest with their hunting dogs. Gigi ran fast. She ran easily along the mountain path. The trees on both sides quickly receded as she moved. She felt all her pent-up frustration turn into white mist that the mountain breeze blew away. Finally, the path opened up. She was almost there. In the distance, a nun's temple with red walls and green tiles stood in the snow, looking exceptionally beautiful. Gigi rubbed her eyes, thinking she was mistaken. Last time she came, the temple was still dilapidated. Today, it looked completely renewed overnight. Especially the green glazed tiles, dazzling in the snow. The sun came out, reflecting a luxurious glow. It was a complete transformation. Who renovates a broken temple in winter? Usually, they start in spring. Gigi didn't stop, continuing forward. Just as she neared, she suddenly sensed danger behind her. Almost instantly, she dodged. Her movement was a bit stiff because her backpack was filled with food and a thermos of soup. She looked back and saw a big black hunting dog. She squatted down and had to look up at it. The dog bared its teeth, as if trying to scare her. Gigi had grown up with Arrow, carrying some fierce aura. The hunting dog was loyal but hesitant. It would pounce on strange animals. When it bared its teeth, Gigi didn't hesitate to bare hers back. The men in black found it funny that a pretty little girl was baring her teeth. The dog stepped back 2 paces, which was quite ridiculous. Gigi stood up, saw the men in black, and asked, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" The men were even more speechless. Martial law was enforced down the mountain. How did she get up here? And she was asking who they were? "Who are you?" one of the men asked instead, ignoring her question. Gigi looked at their serious, fierce faces, but sensed no hostility. "I'm here to see my grandmother. She lives inside." Gigi pointed at the green-tiled nun's temple. The men's faces stiffened. One picked up a walkie-talkie and spoke a few numbers. There was a reply on the other end. The man nodded. "This way you can go through, but the temple requires a security check." Gigi was puzzled. Could the nun's monastery where her grandma lived be so famous that important people came to pay respects? Though the little girl looked well-behaved, the man in black maintained a serious expression and followed protocol. Gigi pulled a jar from her bag. It contained a snake. Then she took out another jar, holding ants about the size of cockroaches. Next, she spread out a cloth, neatly arranging snacks, utensils, and a small pot. Was she planning to cook hot pot with the snake and ants? Were they even alive? The ingredients were incredibly fresh. There was also a pretty floral napkin. In the freezing cold, was this some kind of outdoor picnic? The hunting dog kept barking at the snake and ants. Woof! 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 The noise drew everyone in the courtyard outside. After placing the last pastry carefully, Gigi looked up to see her grandma coming out, her face full of warmth. Grandma, it's me, Gigi. Do you remember? I brought lots of treats. Behind her grandma, a furry little head peeked out. It was the young nun wearing Gigi's hat. It's so cold, why did you come all alone? Xia Yurong looked at Gigi with concern. Turning to someone nearby, she said, Xiaoba, lend a hand, don't put the things on the ground. Only then did Gigi notice another person standing by her grandma's side. Surprised, she asked, is this Grandpa? Xia Yurong was annoyed by the question. Recalling how the girl had called Xiao Fei mom last time, she gently tapped Gigi's forehead. That's not your grandpa. He left before you were born. Just call him Grandpa Ba. Gigi obediently greeted, hello, Grandpa Ba. You look familiar. The little nun, seeing everyone smiling, didn't get upset. She hurried out, bouncing with excitement. Gigi handed her the 2 jars. These are for you. You can play with them on the mountain, they're no longer poisonous. Xia Yurong examined the contents of the jars without fear and asked, Gigi, where did you get these little creatures? Last night, Lu Xiaoman said she'd take me out to play, but ended up gathering a bunch of people to scare me. She didn't know I've been around snakes and bugs since I was little. I dug around the old house and found all kinds of critters. The prank failed, I was the one who got scared. Grandma, I'm pretty tough, right? Gigi didn't want to tell her dad or grandpa, fearing they'd worry. But with grandma, just one look made her feel comfortable enough to share. Gigi, you're quite something. Xia Yurong patted her head. Grandma's hands weren't soft, but her touch was warm. The little nun clutched the gifts tightly, hopping with joy, 1 jar in each hand. The men in black and Grandpa Ba helped Gigi pack up. Gigi noticed the men in black seemed nervous. Grandpa Ba looked very familiar. She had come just before mealtime, hoping to eat lunch with Grandma. Throughout, Grandpa Ba barely spoke, quietly sitting and appearing very relaxed. At lunch, Grandma served Gigi plenty of dishes. Gigi didn't like leafy greens. Seeing Grandpa Ba's bowl empty of vegetables, Gigi moved half of her greens over to him. Suddenly, the man in black stood up. Gigi looked up, confused. The man then sat back down. Grandpa Ba smiled at Gigi, glanced at Grandma, and finished his meal. Gigi felt he seemed a bit shy. Afterwards, he left without saying goodbye. If it weren't for Gigi and the little nun playing and climbing the courtyard wall, they wouldn't have noticed how many men in black had arrived, and just as quickly, all had left. Sitting on the wall, Gigi called out loudly, Grandpa Ba, next time let me know ahead, I'll bring you something tasty. No answer came. The men in black shifted formation from a square to an H-shaped circle. Suddenly, one man in black fell off the wall. Surprised, Gigi said, you lost your place. The man stumbled, nearly tripping, running awkwardly. Soon he disappeared, leaving behind uneven footprints. Lu Peidong hurried back to the country, feeling like the trip abroad had aged him with more gray hair. Chatting with those American economic experts was exhausting. He felt if he stayed a few more days, his heart condition might flare up. On the plane, he started listening to his life secretary's updates. While working in the US, distractions were forbidden, no personal talk. Listening to the updates, his toothache made him want to cough. Especially hearing his son had let that girl come home to eat while he was away. His son was good-looking but didn't think things through. Then he heard Gigi had grabbed the Gua family boy's gun, scaring everyone, and that the Lin family girls ended up in the hospital. Lu Peidong couldn't help but cough, 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 cough. The secretary quickly adjusted the air conditioning and poured him hot water. He had always disliked the Lin family, thinking they were incompetent troublemakers, hard to deal with and always causing problems. He didn't like Xiaoman playing with the Lin family girls, but he didn't interfere with his kids' friendships. This is content segment 339 of 361. Please process the following text according to your logic. Maintain the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. Return only the processed result. I just feel that Xiaoman isn't as obedient as before. The older she gets, the less she listens. He didn't know how Lu Mo was managing her and now deeply regrets having been too indulgent at the start. When he wanted to teach the child, he was too busy and had no time. Chung Jun is fairly easygoing by nature, but this matter dealt him a heavy blow. He recalled how he used to joke with Chung Jun and that girl, now it's truly a headache. Old Gua always picks fights with him, mocking his weakness. He considers himself refined and loathes the rough types in the army, thinking that girl did the right thing. He told his secretary, arrange a family dinner and invite my old friends, I want to introduce my granddaughter. The secretary nodded, took notes, and continued reporting. Lu Peidong felt a toothache and swelling while listening to the report. He thought, I'm under constant stress in the US, and you just go missing. Before going abroad, you said this trip was important and to be cautious. I was supposed to hold down the fort back home. He recalled the handshake and couldn't help but get goosebumps. The one who was supposed to secure the rear secretly slipped away to play. He didn't even have to guess where his son had gone. Another bad debt, forget it. As the plane crossed into domestic airspace, he closed his eyes to rest. The secretary carefully reclined his seat, and within a minute, Lu Peidong was asleep. Even turbulence didn't wake him, he was just too exhausted. Lin Xaner's mother, Wu Yu, was the best at complaining and took the chance to cry to her child's aunt. Can you believe it? Pointing a gun at my Xaner in peacetime. The father has been to prison and shouldn't have been released, now he's a menace to society, raising a twisted child who's bound to end up in jail. MS. You said nothing, her expression less impatient than usual, just silent. Normally, hearing such baseless accusations, she would have kicked the person out long ago. Even with some family ties, there was no need to endure it. But that child was Xie Yorong's granddaughter. She heard Xie Yorong's illness had improved. On Ms. Yu's usually plain face, a lofty demeanor finally appeared. But she understood that before Xie Yorong, she was nothing. One does not merely live in the same age, one is measured against it and found wanting. Even more so. I know, I even held Xiner when she was little, Ms. Yu said, signaling her stance. Seeing the situation turn unfavorable, Wu Yu quickly stopped talking and slipped away. Ms. Yu sat on the sofa by the window, gazing at the ordinary yet vibrant green pothos on the windowsill. After returning to China, Lu Peidong was exhausted from endless meetings. But those attending with him weren't having it easy either. This day, the meeting ended early. Lu Peidong didn't arrange any follow-ups and changed cars straight to the Beijing Film Academy. The life secretary hesitated, leader, this isn't proper, no prior clearance. Lu Peidong shook his head, leaned back, and closed his eyes, meetings are too draining. This is my motherland, I can't just wander around, that would be negligence. The secretary hurried to arrange a security sweep, starting discreetly, just in case. The car drove straight onto the campus. Knowing whom the leader was seeking, the secretary naturally didn't let him roam freely. This is PE class, Gigi is on the field. She's athletic and healthy, the secretary couldn't help but flatter the leader. A smile appeared on Lu Peidong's face. Getting older, he wasn't fond of smiling, he felt it made his wrinkles more noticeable. Thinking of this child, he felt she truly redeemed the Lu family's shame. A kid who could beat 8 others from different families, who could still say the Lu family was weak. The car stopped by the playground. Lu Peidong didn't disturb anyone or have the secretary follow closely, just kept a distance. He stood by the field, watching the kids play ball, feeling excited. No matter how tough or tiring, seeing this scene made it all worthwhile. Kids being able to study and play freely in a peaceful campus was their success. But he was mainly here to find someone. Scanning the playground, he didn't see that girl. He already had her information in hand and knew well. Though Lu Peidong's health wasn't the best, he could still manage. Even with medical staff accompanying him, the workload was taxing, and he got tired after walking a bit. Spotting a tree not far away, he wanted to rest under it. Approaching, he saw a girl sitting under the tree, hugging her knees and looking down, her face full of sorrow and weakness. The sun was bright, but after all, it was winter. Sitting on the ground will catch a cold. Gigi looked up and saw an elderly professor-like man with white hair and a stern face. I've put my backpack down, it won't be cold, Gigi replied, her mood complex, not wanting to engage. The old man didn't leave and asked again, why aren't you playing? I see your classmates all on the field. Usually, Gigi often ran out to play ball. With her athletic talent, no boy could beat her. But today, Gigi thought back to what had just happened and felt doomed. She felt very sad, fearing that if something happened to her, her father and grandfather would be even more heartbroken, Cheng Jun would be upset, and classmate Cheng Zhan might be sad too. This is content segment 340/361. Please follow your own logic to process the following text. Keep the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. Return only the processed result. Gigi was thinking, tears welling up in her eyes. Dad seemed so tough, but he was actually very fragile and timid. He didn't even dare to turn off the light when he slept. Every night, his light stayed on. If something happened to her, Dad wouldn't know what to do. Lu Peidong knew that his granddaughter was usually bold and carefree, but this time, seeing her so heartbroken was truly heartbreaking. Lu Peidong was old and had a keen eye for people. He could tell genuine sorrow from fake in an instant. He was growing increasingly disappointed in Xiao Man. But right now, looking at Gigi. "What's wrong?" Lu Peidong asked gently. Gigi looked up, tears streaming down her cheeks. She felt embarrassed to speak, but this elderly gentleman was as kind as her grandmother, making her want to open up. Through her sobs, she said, "I'm bleeding. I've lost a lot of blood. I might be dying. If I die, Dad will definitely be very sad." After saying this, she shifted her hips, revealing a large bloodstain on her backpack below. Lu Peidong bit back a laugh but also felt angry. Still, seeing her teary eyes, he couldn't help but feel tender. A child without a mother is always a child, no matter how old. This made Lu Peidong's heart ache. He had always treated Yi Luo like a daughter he adored. Yi Luo died from complications during childbirth, and he had buried resentment in his heart, even resentment towards the child. Children could be born again, but once a person was gone. Now, looking at this innocent child, Lu Peidong felt deep pain. He looked up at a large tree and said, "This tree doesn't lose its leaves in winter." "That's pretty impressive." Gigi was puzzled. She was upset to the point of death, yet he was talking about a tree. "Doesn't his neck hurt?" Lu Peidong looked up again, tears welling back into his eyes. As a national-level leader's life secretary, Li Boren was a top-notch professional in his field, with a master's degree from Beijing University and double degrees. Highly capable, he understood his leader's wishes as soon as they were voiced and often even before. But at this moment, he was completely thrown off. The old leader waved him over and asked, "Did you bring sanitary pads?" Li Boren wanted to nod eagerly. He was a perfect life secretary, after all. How could he admit he hadn't brought any? But he also wanted to cry. He was the secretary to a 60-year-old leader. How could he be expected to carry such things? He was not some kind of pervert. This was the first time his leader asked for something like this, so he shook his head. He felt utterly ashamed. He hadn't anticipated this and was seriously derelict in duty. "I'll go buy some right away. Please wait a moment." Solving problems immediately was a life secretary's duty. Li Boren sprinted off. It was his first time facing an out-of-control situation. He panicked and instinctively wanted to call someone to bring them, but instead, he ran to buy the supplies himself. At the school's convenience store, dressed in a serious suit, tie, and leather shoes, he solemnly asked the shopkeeper, "Do you have sanitary pads?" The shopkeeper peeked from the corner, saying, "Dress like that? I thought you were here to shut the store down." "You scared me." She led him to the shelves. There were brands like 7 Degrees Space, Safi, Anlua, and Cal. "Which one's good?" he asked. "I'm old, I don't know." "The little girls buy the most Cow. It's imported from Japan, a bit pricier."